All right, well, I'm going to show you. I hope everybody out there is having a great day. In a little bit, Republicans panic and run away when they're asked directly about Trump's corruption to their face, which, of course, indicates to me they know how shameless they are. They know they're full of shit. They know how evil Trump is, and they simply don't care. Okay, so incredible video. Show that to you in a little bit. We also have Fox News shitting itself as a Democratic guest calls Netanyahu a war criminal directly to their face. They clearly do not know how to handle it, and they're very uncomfortable. I'll show you that. And then later on, a man hikes 10 miles while impaled in order to avoid a hospital bill. Welcome to American healthcare, ladies and gentlemen, because this is what it's like. And then also, Joe Rogan's friends are now comparing Donald Trump to Adolf Hitler. To show you just how much MAGA has imploded, that story says it all. So you guys know the deal, man. Everybody do me a big favor. Subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon. That helps out big time and costs you nothing at all. You could also support the show on Patreon. Shout out to all of you who do that. Remember, y'all, there's real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser or done an ad read, and I never will. I'm very proud of that fact, and you guys have made that possible by giving $2 or $5 a month or whatever it is, by tipping with the thanks button on YouTube. So thank you to all of you from the bottom of my heart. And then also, by the way, sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. We have Rania Kalik of Breakthrough News coming on the show this week. It's super important, guys, because she is directly being politically persecuted by Trump. Because under NSPM 7, they're going after dissent. Here's an anti-imperialist media outlet, and he is throwing the book at her. So you have to listen to this. Again, sign up below on Substack, and then also go sub to my boy Corin's channel over at Corin's World, and come hang out with us on Monday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You will not regret it. It's a hell of a lot of fun and a lot more laid back than this. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and jump right in ski. So I'm going to throw a little curveball at you real quick, bro. I'm going to throw a little curveball at you. We got some new numbers that Harry Enton talks about here on CNN, and this is disturbing. This is very disturbing, and this is like a what the fuck kind of moment here, okay? So when polled on the issue of the Iran war, listen to what voters said, who they trust more. Listen to this.
Republicans weren't around. In April, according to a Washington Post Ipsos poll, the Democrats were more trusted by 2 points. Again, close margin, no clear leader. But look where the shift has been. If anything, the shift has been in the Republican direction. Now the Republicans and Donald Trump are trusted more by 2 points on Iran. So, again, over the course of the war, if anything, the Republicans have been the ones that have been gaining ground, which I think just goes so opposed to all of the news coverage that we have seen so far, and all of, the media. You would think, hey, but no, the American people are actually trusting the Republicans and Trump, if anything, more now than they were, so let's say, halfway through the war.
So this makes me want to shove a porcupine in my urethra. The war itself polls at 27% support. 27. Yet somehow, Americans trust Republicans more with it than Democrats. So right off the rip here, even if no Democratic politician said anything about this issue ever, this shit should be like plus 48 Democrat. Like, not even close. It should be overwhelmingly, we prefer the people who didn't start this illegal war of aggression to the people who did. Okay? So spare some smoke for the American people on this one, because this is like, are you guys drinking bleach? Is that what you're doing? But I'll also say, you know the reason for this, right? I'll tell you the reason for this. Democrats don't really talk about the war. They don't really say anything. Now, again, like I said, even with them saying nothing, the people should still prefer them over Trump and Republicans, the fucking terrorist freaks, right? But, I mean, is it really that hard for you to take the reins of this issue and go out there and say, we shouldn't wage illegal wars of aggression against countries that didn't attack us? Is that too much to ask for? To go out there and highlight the little girl's elementary school that was bombed? I talk about that on this show. Virtually every single liberal and leftist commentator that I've seen talks about that shit on their show. Tune in anywhere, they'll talk about the Manaab school bombing. They'll talk about the 160 or 170 little elementary school girls who were killed. You don't hear many Democrats talk about it. They don't talk about that. They don't talk about the children's hospital that we bombed the other day. They don't talk about the bridges we bombed or the power plants that we bombed. We have hit civilian infrastructure. We did it for like 13 or 14 days in a row just recently. You don't hear much talk about it. You don't. You don't hear Democrats highlighting Trump saying, threatening total civilizational annihilation as he did on Twitter during the war. They don't talk about it. And so this is the problem, is that, look, part of the Democratic strategy is run and hide and let Republicans ruin everything. Okay, great. That's working to some extent because you're up big in the midterms. But the downside of that is people look at you and they go, I don't really know what you stand for. I don't really know what you believe in. And of course, I'm talking more specifically here about Democratic leadership. I'm talking about Chuck Schumer, who low-key supports the war, okay, supports Israel as well, even though they just committed genocide live streamed in 4K. I'm talking about Hakeem Jeffries, who does support the war, right? And by the way, Democrats have voted, it's a non-binding resolution, but they voted to basically like condemn the war. And, you know, Trump has basically blown it off completely and acted like that's not the case. But they voted the right way, but fucking talk about it. Like, oh my days, is it really that difficult for you guys to go out there and say, hey, you know, the last, the Democratic president, 2 Democrats ago, Barack Obama, he actually solved this. He did the JCPOA. He did the Iran nuclear agreement. They were following it perfectly. They weren't getting a nuclear weapon. They weren't threatening us in any way, shape, or form. This issue was settled. Then Trump went in there, ripped up the agreement, destroyed it, and now he is bombing. And now, best case scenario is we get back to where we were in 2016 after Barack Obama got us the victory. So is it that hard to talk about it? But that's the thing is, and this is the reality, Democratic leadership for sure isn't actually against this war. And they sort of want to let Trump cook on this shit. They do. And that's why they're being punished by voters. Now, again, I want to reiterate, even with Democrats saying nothing, still 1 million times out of 1 million, you should support the people who didn't start the illegal war of aggression against the people who did. Okay? But my message to Democrats is, wakey, wakey. The run and hide strategy only goes so far. Right? And again, it's working, but Democrats could be up 5 to 10 points more than they are if they actually fought. And if they actually said, look, man, we're planting a flag. We believe in this shit. We are against the genocide. We are against the illegal war of aggression against Iran. We're against wasting $100 billion to kill a bunch of innocent civilians. And meanwhile, here our infrastructure is crumbling. People are losing their jobs. 18 million people got kicked off their Medicaid. I mean, Jesus Christ, bro. It is so crazy. This is like, again, I think the American people are chugging Clorox or some shit. Like, clearly there's an issue here. I don't know. Did COVID reduce IQ points like by 17? I don't know. Something is happening here where people are not seeing straight. But I will say to the Democrats, if you were out there making the case against the war, it already polls at 27%. All you have to do is make clear, hey, you are correct, American people, and here's why you're correct. It's an illegal war. It's a country that didn't attack us. They weren't a threat. The issue was handled. We're committing war crimes. They're just defending themselves. Like, all you have to do is make the case, and then it would be Democrat plus 49 or whatever the fuck, right? But no. So anyway, that is disturbing. Incredibly disturbing, actually. And but then I also have to show you this. Ready? Prepare yourself. Democrats are way more unpopular than they were in 2018. Listen to this. Here we go.
The Democratic Party net favorability. Back in 2018, when Democrats were able to take control of the House, they were actually on the plus side of the ledger. They were actually in positive territory at plus 1 point. Look now in 2026. We're not just talking down there underneath the Potomac. We're talking down there with the Titanic. We're talking 24 points underwater. And this is just the party overall. This isn't the congressional leadership. This is the party. The party. It's just a terrible, terrible, terrible brand. Terrible. I want to almost get my Charles Barkley. Terrible, terrible. I can't even do a Charles Barkley. But the bottom line is it's absolutely terrible. Now, what is the reasons? Why is the Democratic brand so terrible?
Now, I will say this. I don't think that's going to matter. And the reason why it's not going to matter is all of the polls on MAGA are worse. MAGA has collapsed way more than it did in 2018. So, like, for example, with independents, they were like, you know, they were slightly underwater with independents in 2018 and they got blown out in the midterms. And now they're like triple or quadruple as much underwater with independents as they were. So ultimately, I don't think it's going to matter much that the Democratic brand is completely and utterly tarnished. However, I come back to the same point, which is there's a reason for this, y'all. Back in 2018, Democratic voters kind of trusted their leaders. They kind of trusted Democratic leadership. Like, okay, look, they'll navigate us out of this mess. They'll hold Trump accountable. They'll show us the way to resist. They'll, lay out the agenda for the day after. And what ended up happening is Democratic voters learned, oh shit, The leaders don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're doing. These are the people that lost to Trump, now we know, multiple fucking times. And so what do you guys actually believe in? What do you stand for? Like, what's the purpose here? Like, why are you fundamentally incapable of holding this man back and being defiant, right? And then you ask them, it's like, what do Democrats stand for? And the response is, and it's like, as long as Democrats take AIPAC money, as long as Democrats take military-industrial complex money and Wall Street money, as long as it is the corporate Democratic Party or the Diet MAGA Democratic Party, as opposed to a left-wing, robust opposition Democratic Party, then they're going to continue to see numbers like this. And he says it's the party, it's not the leadership. I disagree. I think the reason why is because people associate the brand with the Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumers and those sorts of people. And what people want is the party to be the Bernie Sanders party and the Zoran Mamdani party, and they want it to be the AOC party. And when you look at the polling data, the most popular politician in the country by far is Barack Obama. Right behind him is Bernie Sanders. Right behind him is Zoran Mamdani. And so the more you stand for something, the more you actually represent an ideology and a philosophy that's trying to help the people and be anti-war, the better you're going to be. And so that's the thing is, like, again, there are limits to this idea of the run and hide strategy. There are limits to the idea of Democrats will sit in the corner in the cuck chair and watch Trump rape the country over and over. There's limits to that. Yes, I do think voters are smart enough to put two and two together and go, literally anything but this is better, because anything but that is better. But you are capping yourself and you're limiting yourself to, basically like the bare minimum of a victory that you can get. Whereas if you stood for anti-war politics, if you stood for no more money and no more weapons to Israel, if you stood for raising taxes on the rich, if you stood for unions and a living wage and Medicare for all and universal child care, if you stood for all that and made the fucking argument, you'd be winning by 5 to 10 points more, and it would be an historic blowout. We already might get a historic blowout, but it would be despite the Democratic flaws. And like what I'm saying is we don't need to have any flaws. You could actually, like, the roadmap is there. Zoran just showed it to you. Abdul El Sayed is showing it to you right now. Like, it's happening right now. So lock in. But again, you're not going to get the Democratic Party to that point unless and until they actually swear off all the corporate money, all the AIPAC money, all the military-industrial complex money. It's then and only then that they can be free. And look, the thing that's heartening to me is that there's so many new, young up-and-comers who are running for office who are democratic socialists and who have a real ideology and a real vision and who are fighting for real change. And when these people take over the party, then we're unstoppable, because then we're committed to the cause in a way that the neoliberal Democrats just weren't. The neoliberal Democrats half agreed with Ronald Reagan. Okay, the neoliberal Democrats don't believe in the capacity of government to do good things for you. They're all like, hey, let's have a small government and just do tweaks around the edges, right? Like let capitalism steer the ship and we'll have little tweaks around the edges with the government. That Bill Clinton philosophy is dead. It's over. It's not 1992 anymore. And the new philosophy has to be, the Zoran Mamdani philosophy, the Bernie Sanders philosophy, the Democratic Socialist philosophy. And if the whole party was locked into that mindset as opposed to trying to fight that mindset and defeat that mindset, then it wouldn't be minus 24 for the brand of Democrats. It wouldn't be. Right now, they're looked at as collaborators. Right now, they're looked at as Diet MAGA or wishy-washy and believing in nothing. And that needs to change. So anyway, these polls are kind of fucked. But I will say, in conclusion here, that I'm giving you the worst of the worst, because I showed you the polls yesterday on MAGA, and even though these are disturbing, the stuff on MAGA is flat out apocalyptic. So it won't even matter fundamentally, but it matters in the sense that if we really want to make change in this country and not just like, hey, defeat Republicans temporarily and then the pendulum will swing back and they'll win again in the future. If you want to actually win and lead for a generation, we know the roadmap and they need to take it.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all, we got to talk about this. I'm calling these hidden Trump policies that are being uncovered here because this is the sort of stuff that people don't talk about nearly enough. Like Trump, on any given day, it's like death by 1,000 paper cuts is what this country is undergoing. Because the Trump regime they wake up and they do the 784th iteration of the fuck off and die bill or the fuck off and die executive order. And again, most of it goes uncommented on. Like it is just out of sight, out of mind, not brought up in the major media outlets, and then it's left to assholes like me to babble about it on YouTube and talk about how we're all doomed to hell. Frankly, because we're all doomed to hell. But let's start with this one right here. Kian says the following. I have gotten 18 spam calls today, and it's barely 10 a.m. Oh my God, how do I make this stop? They're from a different number every time. To which there's a reply here, and the reply says, reminder, Obama had an order that banned spam callers from calling your cell phone. It was one of the first things Trump rescinded when he took office in 2016. Bro, there's nothing like the first day when they get in there and they just take a fucking wrecking ball to everything in sight. I still have nightmares of the day one executive orders Trump signed going through. He got rid of like all the internal corruption rules for his cabinet, threw them shits out immediately. Signed an executive order to repeal a Biden order that lowered drug prices, which means he effectively went in there on day one and increased drug prices. Like, this is the sort of shit. And this guy saying back in 2016, or when he first got in office in 2017, he went ham and said, fuck it, let the spam callers go wild. Like, what you're going to find out here very quickly is that these people hate you. They hate you and they want you to die. Like, they actually don't give a fuck about you. Trump has never given a fuck about you. What he cares about is himself, self-aggrandizement, careerism, his bank account growing, right? And this is one of those things where he's probably paid off to take this position, but we're just getting started because then we also have this. Ready? Trump has invented a completely new concept, the corporate pardoned. He pardons corporations that have done wrong, meaning they no longer have to pay back their victims. Truly a man of the people. You know what isn't declining? Pardons for corporations. Trump has granted 9. These were never a thing before Trump, not in the modern era, and possibly never. According to Bloomberg's Ava Benny Morrison, the 9 pardons wiped out $200 million in financial penalties, quote, some of which were destined for victims of wrongdoing. Frank Bowman, a law professor at the University of Missouri, told Bloomberg, in any previous era, no president would touch this with a barge pole, maybe individual cases with some compelling reason, but the systematic elimination of criminal liability of major financial crime would never have happened before, and it didn't. Half of the $200 million in wiped out fines can be attributed to a single crypto company, BitMEX. The 3 co-founders of the company, a pioneer in crypto derivatives, all pled guilty in 2022. Jesus Christ. So, the corporate pardon is now what Trump has done. No other president has ever done it. And it just goes to show you just how much MAGA has become hand in hand with the Epstein class. They are part and parcel with the Epstein class, married at the hip to the Epstein class. The elite pedophile billionaire cabal and their corporations, and all they care about is robbing you blind, getting subsidies, getting tax cuts, getting favorable treatment, while they ruin everything about the government that helps you, a regular person. That's what this is. And so here's another thing, won't be talked about anywhere by anybody, but Trump is now doing corporate pardons and eliminating restitution. Very similar to how he did this with how many white-collar fraudsters did he pardon? Dozens of them. People who committed the most brazen financial crimes of all time, and then he pardons them and tells them you don't have to pay restitution to your victims anymore. It's astonishing. Why? Because there's a pay-to-pardon system set up. He's doing a pay-to-pardon system. So you go to Mar-a-Lago, you give him anywhere from, depending on the case, anywhere from like $500,000 to $6 million, right? And then he will pardon whoever the fuck you want. And there's reporting on this. By the way, I love how we've exposed like a massive federal crime. Nobody cares. Nobody bats an eyelash. Nobody talks about it. Nobody's fucking arrested him. Like, the number of crimes, the number of open crimes that have been reported on, that people just yawn and go, yep, I guess that's how it works now. I mean, this motherfucker, King Joffrey is blushing at the arrogance. That's what this is. All right, so there's another one. Another hidden Trump policy, and the secrets are all coming out. All right, more. Here we go. So Trump the other day, let's remember this. Trump the other day said he thought this was a closed-door meeting with Republicans. It was not a closed-door meeting. There was a camera there. And listen to what he had the nerve to say to these people. Here we go.
Because the United States can't take care of daycare. That has to be up to a state. We can't take care of daycare. We're a big country. We have 50 states. We have all these other people. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare. You got to let a state take care of daycare, and they should pay for it too. They should pay. They have to raise their taxes, but they should pay for it. And we could lower our taxes a little bit to them to make up. But it's not possible for us to take care of daycare, Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things. They can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal. We have to take care of one thing: military protection.
I mean, it's almost like this was scripted to hand to Democrats to clobber him over the head with. All you need to do is run ads saying exactly this, and he's cooked, he's barbecued, he's donezo. It's a Rappington. We can't handle Medicare or daycare or Medicaid, all these things. We have to fight wars. We have to, mind you, an illegal war of aggression against a country that didn't attack us and wasn't a threat to us, completely and utterly a war of choice. By the way, we're murdering little schoolgirls in this war of choice. We're committing war crime after war crime in this war of choice. Sorry, you can't have healthcare, you can't have education, you can't have daycare, you can't have any of the things that makes a decent life because we got to blow up some more schools and hospitals. Duh. Sorry, you're dipping into our mass murder money. Get your hands off our mass murder money. That's only for mass murder. It's not for helping people. It's not for looking out for Americans. By the way, this is literally the polar opposite of the philosophy of America first that he's laying out here. The polar opposite. So he said that not that long ago. Then we get this. The Trump administration is ending Medicare Part D subsidies, raising prescription drug costs for more than 11 million Americans. You have got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. So, like I said, day one executive order from Trump rescinded a Biden order that lowered drug prices. So Trump increased drug prices on day one. If I'm not mistaken, there was another action that he did which increased drug prices. And now we have, I believe, a third action which is going to raise prescription drug costs for more than 11 million Americans. Mind you, this is all happening at the same time that in his regular speech routine, he goes out there and says, we're lowering drug prices by 300%, 400%, 500%, 800%. It's literally the polar opposite of the truth, bro. The exact diametrically opposed to the reality of the situation. It is astonishing. This is just like when he goes out there and says, I stopped 8 wars. I stopped 8 wars. That's what I did. Then meanwhile, he didn't stop 8 wars. In fact, he probably started at least 5 or 6 of them. And never mind the other ones he's threatening, like Greenland, like Panama, like Mexico, Cuba. Oh my word, bro. I can't. 11 million Americans. Just gave a middle finger to 11 million Americans. This is on top of kicking 18 million people off their Medicaid, cutting SNAP benefits, the food stamp program. They act like whoever it was divine intervention when that person posted that it's the fuck off and die bill that he tries to sign every other day. It is. This is the fuck off and die bill. He's now on the 438th iteration of that bill. All right, more. Trump administration has proposed eliminating regulations that protect communities near nuclear power plants from radiation exposure. And a bunch of experts came out and said, oh yeah, that's going to lead to more cancer deaths. So add this on top of, they're dumping coal ash in our fresh water supply. Trump greenlit the increased use of glyphosate, which is the cancer-causing pesticide, right? They've rolled back, I believe, at least 117 environmental regulations. He's destroyed the Clean Water Act. He's destroyed the Clean Air Act. They've deregulated anything and everything. They've, cut pediatric cancer research and Meals on Wheels and the National Weather Service and the CFPB and fucking FEMA and the Department of Education. They are taking a sledgehammer to everything decent. And by the way, this is the difference between Democrats and Republicans. Never let anybody hit you with the both sides bullshit. Because for all of the Democrats' flaws, and there are many and we can get into them, but for all of their flaws, never in a million years would you have the Democrats destroy the regulatory state and the administrative state like these absolute dead-eyed psychopaths have done. That's what this is. Sorry, you have to die from cancer at 43 now because our fat pedophile war criminal con man terrorist president decided to deregulate nuclear power plants. By the way, remember when Elon Musk fired the nuclear safety inspectors and then had to beg for them to come back? He didn't realize he fired the head guy. Remember that? I remember that. I remember Doge doing that. Look at this one. The Trump administration is auctioning off 2,840 acres of Wayne National Forest for oil and gas drilling. By the way, when they went in there, they were virtue signaling like they're going to protect our national parks. That's what Trump did. In fact, one of Rogan's friends, Cameron Hanes, is a big hunter guy, fishing guy, and he's all about the national parks. And so He was like invited to the White House to do some event where, Trump's going to brag about protecting our national parks. Meanwhile, Cameron Haynes came out recently and said, I was used. I was played. I was totally used. I was played. I was conned. This guy's a liar. He didn't care about the national parks. In fact, he's literally opening all of them up to commercial industries. And they're going to fucking mine. They're going to do all sorts of shit that pollute it, destroy it, log it. And nothing is sacred to this guy. Nothing is sacred to this guy. It's all about the money. It's all about the Epstein class, the billionaires, the corporations, the money. They are looting and pillaging and plundering. They will destroy this earth with a smile on their fucking face and then go hide in their doomsday bunkers as we all die from climate change and the disgusting air and the absolute obliteration of our environment. It's incredible. It's incredible. All right, still not done though. Still got more. The Trump administration has ended crucial regulations protecting Americans from arsenic exposure. Experts predict this will significantly increase cancer risk for many Americans. Well, isn't that lovely? I cannot overstate just how much the core of the Republican Party is just sadism. Like, that's it. It's sadism. It's, I want to do harm. I want people to feel pain. I want them to suffer. I want to be violent. I want to be evil. Like, that's what it is. That's what's at the core of this party. And I think now everybody's coming around to it and realizing it when they see stuff like this. Like, a guy who came along was, I'm going to put America first. I'm going to look at the forgotten man and woman will never be forgotten again. Well, it turns out the forgotten man and woman just got cancer because of Trump's deregulation. FactPost says, new reporting reveals Trump is pushing RFK Jr. to further reduce the number of vaccines recommended for children. RFK Jr. has already moved to eliminate recommendations for childhood vaccines such as hepatitis B, RSV, and the flu. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll say this as simply as possible. People will die because of what these morons are doing. People will die. They've destroyed our public health system. They've destroyed it. RFK Jr. himself has been an absolute mess. I mean, the stuff that he's done, never in a million years would I think that we would have institutional suicide done right in front of us like this. This is a guy, they already limited access to the COVID vaccine. They already put vaccine skeptics on the advisory panel. They already fired the CDC director after only a month because that person stood up to RFK and said, hey man, you got to stop with the junk science and follow the actual science. They've already fired over 1,000 people at the Epidemic Intelligence Service. So now the next epidemic is likely to be a bigger disaster than even the last one. They've already ended our support for the global vaccine program. It was RFK who helped Trump kick millions off Medicaid. They canceled the flu vaccine campaign. This asshole's going around trying to link antidepressants to violence, which is a total fucking bullshit idea. They're releasing ChatGPT MAGA reports with made up stuff in it. I mean, it's a sick joke. It's a sick joke. And now we know they're trying to crack down even more on childhood vaccines. So what of course we're seeing is the emergence of diseases that were gone. They were gone. We had defeated them. Like measles, for example, came roaring back. And then this asshole goes out there and says, oh, take vitamin A. It'll help cure it. Experts were like, no, it won't. What are you talking about? No, it won't. That's bullshit. Get the fucking vaccines. Oh my God, bro. Leaked video from inside ICE detention. Multiple women report physical and sexual assault by officers. Children taken away from mothers. Officers expose detainees' private info so they can be trafficked. A woman had 4 toes amputated and they didn't tell her why. A woman with only 1 kidney was suffering renal failure and given no medication. A 3-month pregnant mother had a miscarriage in a cell but received no medical attention. Officers are having sexual relations with detainees, and that's a kind way of putting it. Another way of putting it is rape, that there's rape happening on a regular basis. Multiple women show bruises and other injuries on camera caused by excessive force in ICE detention. Video recorded on a tablet inside the Basile ICE Detention Center in Louisiana. She doesn't have an account on this platform, so posting this full-length thing. So anyway, we won't watch the whole thing here, but suffice to say, every day it's a new horror show with ICE, and Trump has given them carte blanche to get away with whatever the fuck they want to get away with. All right, look at this. This is a graph from the Associated Press. Grocery shopping putting a strain on family budgets. Look at this. Look at how much grocery prices have skyrocketed. Look at how much they've skyrocketed. It's up almost 40% since 2019. 40%. Absolutely astonishing, bro. And that's why there's this colossal backlash, among many other reasons. And then I'll also show you this one. The richest 34 Americans now control $2.6 trillion in wealth, equivalent to 12% of U.S. national income. This is the worst wealth concentration in U.S. history. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Worse than right before the Great Depression. Worse than right before the subprime mortgage crisis and Great Recession. We're looking at a situation, it's worse than the fucking Gilded Age, bro. That's where we're at right now. And by the way, Elon Musk was a trillionaire. I think now he's back to being a billionaire, but he was a trillionaire. We had a fucking trillionaire. At the same time, we still had tens of thousands of homeless veterans in this country. At the same time, we still had at least 600,000 homeless people in this country. At the same time, millions of people don't have health insurance in this country. At the same time, people are losing their health care. We had a trillionaire. Telling you, the soil is ripe for some Democrat to run on a Make Guillotines Great Again platform, and that Democrat is going to do phenomenally well. How about this one? Texas police searched 83,000 flock cameras nationwide to track down a woman who got an abortion. Even Orwell's rolling over in his grave right now. I mean, this is astonishing. This is like surveillance state to the max. Police state, surveillance state to the max. And now there's this massive movement to like damage these flock cameras because people don't want to be spied on. Who wants to be spied on like this? It all started with the Patriot Act. Here we are now. This is the modern iteration. It's getting worse. Like I said, ICE has gotten rid of due process. They've gotten rid of habeas corpus. They don't even use warrants. When they need a warrant to go after somebody, they're detaining innocent people. You guys know this. They're abducting people. And now we have flock cameras everywhere that are spying on us? Nah, fuck that, son. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is absolutely horrifying, but wildfires continue to rage across the southwest Gironde region in France on Tuesday. Firefighters and local civilians battled the flames that have already displaced more than 200,000 people. So, the other week, massive wildfires in Canada, and we got blanketed here in the mid-Atlantic. We got blanketed with that wildfire smoke where the air quality was just absolutely horrendous. Then the other day, we got hit with smoke again, but it wasn't from Canada this time. It was from Oregon. There was wildfires in Oregon. And then now you're hearing about these wildfires all throughout Europe. And this is all happening. The severity and the extent and the length and the power of these wildfire events are way worse because of climate change. But look at this video. 200,000 people
We are in
evacuated.
the Gironde region of southwest France, near Bordeaux. And this is a region that has really been the focal point of the response effort here in France as wildfires continue to tear through farmland and forests. As you can see here, the trees behind me are burnt, the earth is scorched. There are, of course, huge efforts being undertaken by first responders to try and put out the blaze that is spreading across this region, but also an effort by civilians as well, local residents. You can see behind me some locals now arriving, trying to work towards putting out some of the fires that are, according to authorities here, beginning to restart in some areas. And of course, as the temperatures continue to rise, as the heat wave continues to settle in, there is a concern that we will see those fires restarting and spreading once again. Already in this region alone, more than 200,000 people have been forced to evacuate and flee their homes. We are hearing that there may be potentially further evacuation orders in place if indeed these fires do restart. But according to France's Prime Minister, carelessness is also to blame. He says careless acts such as throwing away cigarette butts improperly or using barbecues improperly could also be to blame. At least 160 people have already been brought in for questioning over their potential connection to starting these wildfires.
And as all this is going on, Trump is, of course, doubling down on fossil fuels, doubling down on dirty energy, tripling down on dirty energy. At the same time that China is rapidly moving to green and renewable technology, we're stuck in the past. Fires in Spain and France have merged into a mega fire. More than 60 cities have been evacuated. Look at some of this video, bro. This is insanity. Look at this. Look at this. It's like something out of a horror movie here, bro. And people's whole, their livelihoods, their homes, their lives are being completely and utterly destroyed and upended as a direct result of this. And then I'll give you this one. Pink News says, Trump administration wants warning labels on LGBTQ plus TV shows. And Lilith Lovett says, the Snowflake administration wants trigger warnings for rightoids. And you know what? That's exactly what that is, isn't it? That's exactly what I'd call that. So anyway, this stuff is an absolute disaster. It's an absolute catastrophe. As I told you, what we're dealing with here is hidden policies from Trump that I'm highlighting for you, and hopefully other people will start to focus on, but it's not being talked about. Most of these things are not being talked about. And I really think as they do a lot of these things, they kind of expect it to stay a secret. They kind of expect nobody to know, nobody to talk about it, and the media not to cover it. So we gotta break through the silence, bro. We gotta break through, and we gotta pump this out there as much as possible. Absolute insanity, and one thing worse than the next. And prepare yourself, because as time goes by, they're just gonna keep hitting us over the head with atrocious stuff like this.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So you guys are well aware just how immensely corrupt Trump is, to the point where it's almost laughable. It's almost comical. I mean, it is like, if I had made up some of these stories, like with the schemes he's used to make money, you would say to me, no, like, you obviously have Trump derangement syndrome. Some of this stuff is preposterous. Some of this stuff nobody would have the balls to try to get away with. Like, for example, stealing $10 billion from U.S. taxpayers to give to the Board of Peace, which he made up, which is supposed to be above the UN and deliver the rebuilding of Gaza. It's literally just a scam. It's just a total scheme to shake down taxpayers. He sued his own IRS. Like, that's not a thing. He overthrew the Venezuelan government and then stole their oil, sold their oil, made $13 billion off it, and put it in a personal bank account in Qatar that he only has control over. That sounds like something, like nobody would be that bold and that brazen with such obvious criminality. But no, that's who he is, right? That's who he is. Well, every now and then, for whatever reason, one of these stories breaks through. Most of the time they don't, by the way. Most of the time it's like a crazy corruption story, and it's, for some reason, it just doesn't, grab hold in the public imagination. Again, almost because it probably sounds fake, right? Well, one of these actually broke through, and it was the idea of Trump charging people on Wall Street like a shitload of money in order to get early access to his live social posts, because his live social posts are just like, it's a given that he's giving people insider trading information, right? Like, he'll say something and then the market moves. So if you pay a shitload of money up front, he'll say like, buy Dell, and then you buy Dell, and then 10 minutes later is when that post, everybody else gets to see it, and then that'll move the market. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so corrupt that it seems, again, laughable. Like, there's no way anybody would be that, would try to get away with this. I mean, how? How can you try to get away with this? I mean, the dumbest person on the planet with the lowest IQ could look at that and say, yeah, that's corrupt. Well, anyway, the Republicans, the elected Republicans, were asked about this obvious criminal scheme that Trump is doing, and the results are hilarious. Because when I tell you, a lot of them just literally run away. That's actually what happens. Here we go.
Are you concerned about the possible conflict of interest here?
It's the first I've heard of that. I don't even know what True Social is offering this.
To Wall Street firms, yeah, essentially, for the president's market-moving pose.
I don't have any legal opinion on that. I don't know anything about it.
This is the first time I'm hearing about this, bro. Have you heard about this, bro? Have you heard about this, bro? I mean, I've never even heard about this, bro. I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't even, if I'm being honest with you, Wall Street, I never heard of Wall Street. It was Wall Street. What, you talking about True Social? What's up with True Social? What is the True Social that you talking about, bro? Did I say? Matter of fact, Donald Trump, I don't know nobody named Donald, bro. I mean, I was trying to think if I knew somebody named Donald. I don't even think I know nobody named Donald. By the way, their entire lives have been practiced for this moment, just so you know. Like, Mike Johnson is obviously a weirdo and a freak, and he's deep in the closet. And so his whole life he's been lying about who he is fundamentally. And that was all just like the warm-up act. That was all the appetizer for the main course, which is covering for Trump's lies. And that's why you get moments like that. All right, let's keep going.
Can't comment on it. I don't know anything about it. But Trump made it.
I don't even know what you're talking about, bro. I never heard about any of that, bro. Have I heard about millions of dollars in insider trading that Trump and his entire family are doing? No, I haven't heard about that either, bro. Have you heard about him suing his own IRS for $1.776 billion? No, I never heard about that, bro. Have you heard about the scam crypto coin that Trump used on his own supporters, or that Melania also used on MAGA? Have you heard about the scam shitcoin that they did? I don't know anything about that, bro. I don't even know what you're talking about, bro. Have you heard about Trump pardoning a guy who laundered money for Al-Qaeda because that guy bought $100 million in World Liberty tokens? I don't know anything about that, bro. Really? Are we doing this? Is this what we're going to do? Are we just going to do this with everything? Are we going to do this with all the fucking corruption scandals? It's the first time I'm hearing about this. Oh, is it? I'm sure it is.
Has made $2 billion since becoming president again.
He's already a billionaire, and I don't know how his stuff has been invested.
But it's not raised.
Imagine being Nancy Mace, or as I call her, Beansy. Imagine being Beansy and having Trump rebuke you and throw you under the bus, and you're still covering for the most corrupt man to ever sit in the White House in U.S. history. I mean, that is just, oh my days. Oh my word. I mean, like, just, what are you doing? Humiliating. Even after he threw you under the bus, you're still covering for him when this stuff is so obvious, when everybody wants you to tell the truth.
Is there any red flags with you? That's my question.
If you come in with $1 billion and you double it in a couple years, that's probably math. It's probably a high yield savings account. I don't really know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sure. If Joe Biden made $1 billion in the White House, I'm sure you'd be like, bro, I mean, whatever, bro. He came in kind of wealthy anyway. Who cares, bro? All right, now here we go. This is my favorite part, right? Because they go to Cornyn, who also is leaving office. This just shows you, Republicans, they're a different breed, bro. Because this guy, Trump, literally ruined this guy's career, stole his seat and basically gave it to Ken Paxton, right? The most corrupt goon Republican outside of Trump that there is. And even given that, you're going to see Paxton still is like kind of walking on eggshells, trying to say more truth than the other people, but still not even close to the whole picture. Here we
Lame duck after losing to a Trump-backed primary foe this year was a rare Republican raising concerns.
I think this is President Trump is unique in that he is obviously a very successful business person outside of his presidency and his political life, and I think it does raise some questions about conflicts of interest. But I know there's a process at the White House and certainly with oversight by Congress to try to make sure that those don't interfere with his official responsibility.
Are you confident that there is actually a process that the president is following here?
I'm confident there's a process.
But what about Congress? Should you guys look into this?
Yes, I suspect that we will do that.
Let me explain something to you, son. Here's how you handle this. Trump is a corrupt motherfucker. He's always been a corrupt motherfucker, and they need to put him under the prison. Fuck just in the prison. Put his ass under the prison, because I've never seen anybody so obviously corrupt in my entire life. When you have a pay-to-pardon system set up, that alone is impeachment worthy. That alone means your ass should be kicked out and motherfucking handcuffs on and frog march your ass right into there right now, okay? When you take a $400 million jet from Qatar, which is wildly illegal and against the Constitution, against the Emoluments Clause, that alone is one strike and you're out. I don't need a 2. I don't need a 3. Shut the fuck up. Not interested in your defense. I see the plane right there. Go to prison. Go the fuck to prison. When you're making money, you have a resort in Vietnam that's being built while you're president. You have a hotel in Dubai, a golf course in Qatar. I mean, what kind of a sick joke is this? Trump gave a contract to his own son worth $620 million DZAX. $620 million. Because his son has this company called Vulcan Earth or Vulcan Elements, and he just let him loot the treasury. Again, on that alone, could you imagine Joe Biden gave Hunter Biden $620 million tax dollars? What the fuck do you think the reaction would be, bro? We would never hear the motherfucking end of it. And it would be correct to never hear the motherfucking end of it. But this is just a day that ends in Y for these sons of bitches. Just a day that ends in Y. So, I don't know, man. These people, what am I going to do with them? Let's keep going.
A poll found that 62% of Americans think Trump has used the presidency to enrich himself.
The 36% that said no, lobotomies. These people have peanut brains. What are we talking about? 36% said Trump. Well, that's probably the percentage of the country that still supports Trump. But everybody else is going, fucking of course he's doing. What are you talking about?
But Trump says he's making more money because the stock market is going up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Oh, it's all on the up and up, buddy. No need to worry. Don't look under the hood. Don't question it. Don't look at the fact that the entire family was stealing from charities that they literally stole from a children's cancer charity, and now they can't operate a charity in New York anymore. Don't look at the fact that Trump had a university that was a fraud, and he stiffs his workers for his hotels and his casinos, and he did tax fraud and insurance fraud and business fraud, and he's a 34-time convicted felon, and he was charged with 91 crimes, and he tried to do a literal fucking coup. Don't look at any of that. Don't look at any of that. Shit, the stock market went up, so I made a lot of money, bro. What you want me to tell you, man? Oh, my days. The spell that this man has cast over these Republicans, it is historic. When I tell you the Republican Party is a death cult, I mean it. It is a fucking death cult and a half. So just be aware of that and move accordingly, because these people walk among us. They walk among us, and it should absolutely horrify you.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So Fox News is basically a safe space for Zionist Nazis. And, it's one of those places where you're not allowed to say anything bad about Israel ever. You can only say bad things about Palestinians. It's basically, it's like Boomer Slop Central, where all they do is paint a misleading picture of the world. Democrats are evil, liberals are evil, leftists are evil, Palestinians are evil. Trump is basically Jesus, and, never question him. He's like God. Well, anyway, Bill de Blasio, the Yeti man himself, he went on Fox News here, and he's going to get into a debate here, pretty heated debate with these Fox hosts over, Zoran Mamdani saying that Netanyahu should be arrested. So this is really interesting. Let's watch it, and then we'll go ahead and break it down.
He knew he didn't have the authority to arrest Netanyahu, but went out and said it anyway. And was that all political theater?
I think he drew attention to the fact that Netanyahu is literally a war criminal. This guy's policies led to the deaths of tens of thousands of Palestinian children. And that defines a war crime to me and to so many people around the world.
Are you the defining factor? Like, are you the authority?
The international.
Or what is a war?
Listen to that reaction. Hey, he killed tens of thousands of children. Are you the authority? Are you the authority? I'm a person with eyeballs and a brain who followed the news and saw the pictures and the videos and reacted like somebody with a fucking conscience does. That's what I am. Who are you to say? I'm a person that has a functioning brain. That's who I am to say. I'm a person who's committed to not lying and to telling the truth. That's who I am. She's offended because he stated an objective fact that everybody knows. Everybody knows this at this point.
Tens of thousands of Palestinian children. And that defines a war crime to me and to so many people around the world.
Are you the defining factor? Like, are you the authority?
The international.
Or what is a war criminal?
Court, look, the International Criminal Court should mean something.
We're not a party to it.
When that's the dodge, you know you're fucked. The International Criminal Court should mean something. Well, fuck the court. I don't like the court. I don't like... When we do crimes, it doesn't count. We're not a signatory to it. Yeah, and what does that say about us? Dana? What does that say about us there? Dana? Oh yeah, we don't want to be subject to law, that pesky thing called international law. Why don't we just have our big-ass military bully the shit out of anybody who wants to hold us accountable? Why don't we tell the world, suck my nuts, it's law of the jungle and might makes right, and you're going to go ahead and deal with that? I mean, this is literally like what the mindset is. Well, guess what, you fucking jackasses? There's going to come a time where we're no longer the biggest, baddest dude on the block. In fact, that day is coming sooner rather than later. It really is. It's happening right the fuck now. And they're creating this world that makes it so that when fucked up shit starts happening to us, we got no leg to stand on to complain. We got no leg whatsoever. Could you imagine if Dana Perino was a Palestinian in Gaza and she watched her mother and her father get murdered and their limbs are lying on the floor and their blood is pouring out right next to her and she's underneath the rubble and she survives and she's an orphan, but they had to saw off her injured arm without any anesthesia. She lost her house, she lost her loved one, she lost everything she's ever fucking known. Could you imagine if Dana Perino was in that situation, what her fucking reaction would be? She would be leading Hamas. She'd be one of the top figures in Hamas. But there she is from her comfy air-conditioned studio in New York City, and she's lecturing. Who are you to say what a war crime? Who are you to say what the... Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
It still should mean something to the entire world. Because this is, look, what do you call a leader who authorizes this kind of killing? To me,
somebody who was he responding to something that happened to the Israeli people on October 7th?
There was a horrible...
Sorry, oops! I had to commit genocide in self-defense. I had to shoot that baby in the face for self-defense. I had to collapse that building on top of that mother's head in self-defense. I had to starve that grandma to death in self-defense. I had to bomb the UN building in self-defense. I had to bomb the World Central Kitchen workers in self-defense. I had to shoot the person who was waving the white flag who was unarmed in self-defense. I had to starve the entire population in self-defense. I had to knock down 80% of the buildings in all of Gaza in self-defense. Do you hear yourselves when you talk? Honestly, the thing that offends me the most about the Zionists is not even the criminality and the cruelty. The thing that offends me the most is the lack of logic. The lack of logic and reason and rationality and objective standards that are applied to everybody. Somehow, that's the part that sticks in my autistic ass craw the most. Okay? It's crazy, bro, the shit that they think they can get away with. They've never thought through an issue once in their lives. They're just so horny to defend death and destruction of innocent brown people.
And to the Israeli people on October 7th?
There was a horrible massacre, terrorist attack on October 7th. Absolutely unacceptable.
Does
but the response to that, wait a minute.
Does Hamas, though,
the response
put innocent
is not
people in harm's way?
Violence that killed tens of thousands.
Do you think that Hamas
of children.
puts innocent people in harm's way?
Of course, but do you think if Hamas does something wrong, it means Netanyahu and Israel therefore can do something even worse?
I think if Hamas is hiding innocent people and they are dying in a war that Hamas started, that yes, Hamas is at fault. I believe that.
Oh, I'm sure you believe that. I could tell by the tone of how you said, I believe that. What does Mossad have on her? Jesus Christ, this is sad. This is pathetic. Are you kidding me? So it's Hamas's fault that minimum 70,000 innocent people died in Gaza. In reality, we've seen numbers as high as over 100,000, 300,000. I've seen crazy numbers from different studies. I don't know what the actual number is. All I know for sure is the Gaza Health Ministry number is a low ball, okay? So she's saying, yeah, hundreds of thousands of people were killed, but that's all Hamas's fault. Truly baby brain shit. Truly fucking baby brain shit. And she knows that's dishonest. And look, he's playing it as straight as he could play it here for the Fox News audience. But the actual truth, which I'll say that he won't say, is every single one of the military targets that were targeted by Hamas were completely justified, completely legitimate. Under international law, you have a right to resist as an occupied people. And especially if you're going after military targets, police targets, that's called self-defense. That's called sad day for you. Okay, it's a totally different conversation, in my opinion, whenever you go after anybody innocent, any child, any woman, etc., any innocent man, even. That's a totally different story. But when it comes to the military targets, and by the way, what's not discussed is, I believe the majority of the people killed on October 7th were military targets. Okay, police, military, stuff like that. Or at least about 50% or so. Whereas the response from Israel, it's over 90% innocent people that they killed. So by their own logic, by their own standards, they are objectively bigger terrorists than Hamas are, okay? But listen to Bill de Blasio trying to get through to these absolute demons. This is insane to watch.
That yes, Hamas is at fault. I believe that.
If you want to say...
I don't need an authority to tell me that.
Listen to what I'm saying. We know the famous two wrongs don't make a right.
Literally having to lecture to her like she's a child. Remember the two wrongs don't make a right? Oh, you don't get to kill hundreds of thousands of people because, 800 civilians on your side got killed, or however many it was.
Excuse me. What Netanyahu did not only caused massive civilian death, it has turned so much of the world against the Israeli government and the Israeli state. So he has harmed his own people, and guess who thinks that? The Israeli people. So his approval in Israel is even lower than Donald Trump's approval here.
To be fair, it's not at all because of the genocide or the war. It's just not. It's because of the corruption. They love the war. The majority of the Israeli people support the illegal war against Iran. The majority of them support taking more territory. And I mean, I've seen polls coming out of there that, are just disgusting. Polls that show that the majority want violence. They want to steal Gaza. They want to steal the West Bank. So I don't like this appeal to the Israeli people. No, they're also sort of crazy too. The reason they don't like Netanyahu has nothing to do with his violence and his terrorism.
Because the Israeli people now realize Netanyahu has caused them immense harm, largely for his own political gain and self-preservation.
So you came on our show today to call Benjamin Netanyahu a war criminal?
I didn't come here to call him that. You asked me a question.
Do you believe that to be the case?
Absolutely.
Did you hear the fake sincerity in Bill Hemmer's voice? You came on our show today to call Benjamin Netanyahu a war criminal? Yes, Bill, you fake-looking G.I. Joe-ass bitch. Yes, he did. What the fuck does Mossad have on you?
Guess who thinks that? The Israeli people. So his approval in Israel is even lower than Donald Trump's approval here. Because the Israeli people now realize Netanyahu has caused them immense harm, largely for his own political gain and self-preservation.
So you came on our show today to call Benjamin Netanyahu a war criminal?
Where's my pearls? I must clutch them. Look at this fucking Ken doll ass, G.I. Joe looking ass, fucking washed bitch. What a fucking loser.
Criminal?
I didn't come here to call him that. You asked me a question.
Do you believe that to be the case?
Absolutely.
Only on Fox News, they're you believe that to be the case? You think Netanyahu's a war criminal? You think Adolf Hitler was bad? Is that what you think, bro? The fucking boomer slop, man. The boomer slop state regime media propaganda network. They are, the amount of damage this network has done is just immeasurable. They are largely responsible for the downfall of this country. I'm perfectly comfortable saying that. It is just out of this world what they've done. But shout out to the Yeti man, Bill de Blasio. He actually did a decent job there. But man, this audience, they're barely sentient. They're barely alive. They're obese, and they're sitting there in their fucking nursing homes, and they're being lied to on a daily basis. They think Trump is God. They think the U.S. has never done anything wrong. They think Netanyahu is awesome because Israel is great because Jesus has to return there, so we have to super serve the psychos over there. It is bleak, man. It's as bleak as it gets.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
Shout out to the Good Liars, man. Their clips always make me laugh. They always get some amazing stuff with these man-on-the-street interviews where they go to these Trump events and they talk to people. I mean, it really is incredible. So what you're about to see here is, Jesus, how do you even describe this? MAGA is putting their ignorance on full display for the world to see, and however bad you think it's going to be, you're wrong. It's worse. And low-key, if you pay close attention, you're going to realize that dude is panicking. They are panicking. They're asked a very simple, very straightforward question. They panic, and they expose their ignorance to the entire world. So as you see here, quote, President Trump is the greatest president of all time. He stopped 8 wars. Can you name one of those wars that he stopped, sir? Oh, here we go.
Trump is the greatest president?
Absolutely. I mean, look,
you think he's the greatest president of all time?
Oh, I think absolutely he's the greatest president. I mean, look at he's brought all these wars to an end, 8 wars in there, and he's protecting our country from being nuked.
What were the 8 wars he stopped?
I don't know them all offhand, but he stopped them over.
Yeah. Do you know? Can you name a couple?
Tell him, Gail.
What were the wars that he stopped?
Other countries,
Panic. Total panic. Total panic.
Talk to him, I'll think of them.
He passes it off to her. She passes it back off to him. Gail, go ahead. You tell him the 8 wars, Gail. Let me go ahead and think about them. Go ahead, you talk to him. I'm going to go think about them right here.
Name a couple?
Tell him, Gail.
What were the wars that he stopped?
Other countries, talk to him, I'll think of them.
Just one war that he stopped?
Name one war of the alleged 8 wars that he stopped. Well, wait.
I can't think of one now.
Yeah. He says it.
Yeah, but he does.
But we can't name one. All right.
Thank God for the Good Liars, man. Thank God for the Good Liars. How many times have I covered this exact issue and I screamed at the top of my lungs? Somebody asked them to fucking name one. Somebody asked them to name one of the supposed 8 wars that he stopped. You ready for this? Here's the actual number of wars that he stopped. 0, donut, nada, zip, zilch. That's how many. Okay? So let's go through it. Let's go through them. Okay? Let's start with, these are the ones he would claim. Now, by the way, if you actually asked him, he would have the same thing. The same thing would happen that happened with these people. Well, when I say the wars, what I mean is other wars that bad things are happening, and I came in and I made good things happen, and I stopped 8 of them, and let's not get into the specifics. So he would collapse just like they did. But let's go through the ones that theoretically would be the wars he stopped, okay? Ready? Egypt and Ethiopia. It's a long-running dispute over the Nile Dam. There is 0 military conflict. Didn't stop a war. There was no war. But he would probably take credit for that, okay? Serbia and Kosovo. It involved tensions, but no actual war. And it was NATO that came in and sort of smoothed everything out. Trump would take credit for that, which is ironic because he's not even a fan of NATO. And NATO was the one that actually did whatever sort of smoothing over there was to do. Again, it wasn't a war. Whatever sort of smoothing over had to be done, they did that. Okay. How about Thailand and Cambodia? They say it was a temporary or fragile ceasefire, not lasting peace, but Thailand, Cambodia, Rwanda, and the Congo. Israel and Hamas, Trump would take credit for that. Well, as you all know, Israel has routinely, regularly violated the so-called ceasefire. It was a total fake ceasefire from the beginning, and that's exactly the case in the other ones like Thailand, Cambodia, and Rwanda and Congo. And then he even takes credit for India and Pakistan, and India has come out and said the U.S. had absolutely no role, Trump had no role whatsoever in a ceasefire that happened between India and Pakistan. And then there's other ones that no fighting was going on. Armenia and Azerbaijan, he takes credit for that. So you can literally go conflict for conflict. Not a single one was actually solved by him. And most of them were not even wars at all. Okay? All made up. All completely and utterly made up. It is astonishing the shit that this man gets away with. And then the part that always drives me crazy is he says he solved 8 wars. He actually solved 0 wars. And then when you actually look at it, he started a bunch of wars. It depends how you categorize war. But like in my book, he started multiple wars. So let's stop and think about that. Bombing multiple fishing boats from Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago and Colombia. They're still to this day bombing fishermen in the Pacific and in the Caribbean. They did the illegal regime change in Venezuela and stole their oil and stole their gold. He already bombed Yemen and Somalia and Nigeria and Ecuador. He's engaged in a massive war against Iran. So right off the rip there, how many is that? I mean, shit. At the very least, Venezuela, Yemen, Somalia, Nigeria, Ecuador, Iran. That's 6 already. Then, let's not forget, he threatened Greenland and Panama and Canada and Mexico. And I would say what he's doing against Cuba is an act of war. He's doing a total embargo. He wasn't allowing in fucking gas for a while. You know, they're struggling over there. Babies are dying in hospitals because they don't have the power that they need because of Trump's actions. So I'd say that's 7 wars right there. Then you have, I mean, shit, you could look at it like Lebanon is on the table too. Because Israel is at war with Lebanon and Trump is backing Israel. Trump said he wants to go back into Afghanistan to retake Bagram Air Base. We're at least 7 wars that he started. He either started or increased them, basically. So that's how much these people are full of shit, and that's how much they don't know anything. They're willing to just regurgitate his dumbass talking points. They can't go one level deeper than just the fucking sloganeering Trump does. And that says everything, doesn't it? That says everything. And the craziest part is, it's not like you weren't warned. It's not like these people weren't warned. So many people in MAGA did the whole like, oh, I like him because he's anti-war. But there were always people like me who were out there saying, during the 2024 campaign, he's not anti-war. He increased drone strikes over 400% in his first term. They called Obama the drone president. Trump blew Obama out of the water with all of his drone strikes. Okay, how can you be anti-war if you're increasing the Pentagon budget every single year? Meanwhile, as they're stealing the money, they can't account for 63% of their money. How are you the anti-war guy if you kept us in Iraq and you kept us in Afghanistan and you bombed Syria twice and you bombed Somalia and you murdered Qasem Soleimani, the top Iranian commander, and you ripped up the Iranian nuclear agreement and you dropped the mother of all bombs on Afghanistan? How the fuck are you anti-war if you did all those warmongering actions? And they didn't listen. None of these fucking people listened. And here we are now, and they're still doing, he stopped 8 wars. Meanwhile, he's starting a new war seemingly every other week. Every other week, he's starting a new fucking war. Which is the next one that we're actually going to have troops on the ground, or we're going to bomb from the air? Is that going to be Cuba? Is that what's going to happen? Is going to be Cuba next? Jesus Christ, man. It's all on the table now. It's all on the table. That's what they've done. But shout out to the good liars. Really amazing job there. And make no mistake about it, this is what they're all like. They're all like this. They'll all vomit out some dumbass Republican talking point, and then like you'll ask them to go one layer deeper, and they can't. They implode instantly. They crumble instantly, and they expose their ignorance in front of the world.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all. So this story is incredibly fucking disturbing, but let me go ahead and walk you through it here. They say healthcare is too damn expensive. Hiker walks 10 miles down Montana's tallest mountain after impaling himself on a pole, hoping to avoid costly helicopter evacuation. On July 20th, 2026, David Cifaldi was ascending the 12,803-foot Granite Peak, Montana's highest mountain, with two friends around 11,800 feet into the climb. Cifaldi slipped on loose rocks. During the fall, he landed on one of his trekking poles, which pierced his torso, entering his left armpit and exiting through his lower back. The rod remained visible, protruding from his body. Nobody wants to forfeit their entire annual income for a rescue helicopter. Cost of healthcare is too damn high. So this is the picture. I mean, needless to say, if this thing was like an inch to the left, he's dead. An inch to the left, he bleeds out on that mountain in real time. But he just got lucky where I guess it only really went through his skin, right? And so he hiked 10 miles down. I can't even wrap my mind around this. He's impaled, and he walks 10 miles down the mountain and just goes to the hospital. And by the way, the story is even crazier because like he ends up going to one hospital. They're not sure they can do shit for it because I guess they're not a high level enough facility. So he ends up going to the hospital that I guess he worked at and then eventually was fixed. He said it didn't hurt until after they actually like did the surgery and had that shit removed. But I mean, it's insane. He's got some shit through his body, poking through his body, and he hikes 10 miles, all because he knows better than anybody. If we have a helicopter medical evacuation in this bitch, I don't even know how much that shit would cost. Definitely thousands, maybe over 10,000, right? And who knows if that's covered. That's the other thing. Health insurance in this country is absolute booty cheeks. And so they'll hit you with like, oh, yeah, we'll pay for that, but you just got to pay the first 6,000 and then we'll pick up the rest. Oh, all I have to do is pay the first 6,000? Okay. Let me look in between my fucking couch cushions and find my extra $6,000 sitting there. Oh, what planet? What percentage of the country has $6,000 extra sitting there? Like, oh yeah, I got that shit for when I was impaled on Thursday. Like nobody has that. So it's all bullshit. It's all a racket. Like our health insurance system is garbage. Our healthcare system is garbage. Lord only knows how much a helicopter evacuation would have cost. And so he's hiking down the mountain while impaled. Dog, what the fuck? Now, I just want you to imagine for a second, as an American, I'm reading this and I'm going, number one, I could expect something like this. But number two, it's incredibly disturbing. But imagine hearing this story. Matter of fact, shout out to all the people who live in other countries who are watching this right now. Post in the comment section below. I want to hear from all my Canadians. I want to hear from all my Brits. I want to hear from all my Australians. I want to hear from everybody who lives in a country with one version or another of a universal healthcare system. Sound off in the comments and let me know what you guys think of this story. That's what I want to know. Because if you are in a country, and by the way, all these, the developed countries that have universal healthcare systems, medical evacuation is like obviously fucking fully paid for. So you look at this and you go, really? This is what you guys... And then meanwhile, don't worry, we got $38 billion to give to Elon Musk, the ketamine addict, so he can blow up 12 different rockets. We got that. We got all the money in the world to give trillions of dollars in tax cuts to the Epstein class so they can continue to rape kids. We got tens of billions of dollars for Israel so they can continue to murder kids. We got Trump wants $1.5 trillion for the Pentagon so he can blow up some more schools in Iran. Like when you look at what we give money to and what we don't care to fund, I mean, that says everything, doesn't it? It just says everything when you look at 18 million people kicked off Medicaid, millions of people kicked off the SNAP program, which is food stamps. And apparently we can't give people health care even when they're motherfucking impaled. But we have all the money in the world for the worst possible things you can imagine. I mean, it's astonishing. It's astonishing. So, but this is what we're dealing with. And I don't know. I think we're at the point now where most Americans have caught on to the scam, right? Most Americans are now aware on some level that the U.S. healthcare system is trash. We rank last overall among 10 high-income countries when it comes to our healthcare system. And they do this study like every other year, and it always comes back exactly the same. We're dead last in virtually everything, like access, equity, administrative efficiency, health outcomes. It's a nightmare. And then we spend more than anybody else. We spend more for a worse outcome. Think about that. We spend 17 to 18% of our GDP on healthcare, which is about up to $15,000 per person, okay? The average developed country spends about $8,000, about half what we spend. And they get better healthcare and everybody's covered. And then here, about 8% of the country isn't even covered. That's nearly 30 million people are uninsured. And of course, that is utterly catastrophic when push comes to shove. And then forget it. Life expectancy lags behind the rest of the world. Infant mortality is worse than the rest of the world. Everybody that has these universal healthcare systems. It's a catastrophe. I mean, I remember covering stories where the whole thing's a scam, just like everything in this country, where, you go to the hospital and you grab a tissue and then on the bill when you leave, it said you get charged $500 for a cough suppressant aid. And then you ask them what that is, and they go, yeah, that's the tissue. It costs we're charging you $500 because you used the tissue while you were in the hospital. Everything's a scam. Everything's a scam. The health insurance is a scam. The health care is a scam. It's all our system is set up. Our system has hyper financialized everything. No matter what you're talking about, there's always a middleman taking a wildly unnecessary cut like a parasite. The financialization of everything is parasitic by its nature. That's why we say the Epstein class is parasitic by its nature. Billionaires, parasitic by their nature. Corporations, parasitic by their nature. All they care about is fucking profit. That's it. It's a race to the bottom. That's it. And so now we're at the point where somebody can get fucking impaled and they end up hiking down a mountain because they don't want the bill of having to take a helicopter. When in a world that made sense, with priorities that made sense, that person would immediately have gotten a medical evacuation free of charge, paid for by our tax money, instead of our tax money blowing up a bunch of innocent people overseas. Instead of our tax money going to Elon Musk to commit more crimes, fraud and vaporware and whatever the fuck else. So, shit, what else is there to even say about this? What a disturbing story, but unfortunately in this country, it's par for the course. And there's so many stories just like that. Nope, I'm not going to take the ambulance. I'm going to have my friend drive me. I don't care if I got to wait another hour. I'm having a heart attack, but I got to wait another hour. I don't have the money. I don't want to have to deal with paying the emergency bill, the ambulance bill. I don't want to have to do that. And so, yeah, I guess I'll just wait a little longer. I mean, shit, I have horror stories from shit I've seen in the emergency room. Shit that, you never would have imagined. When you're a kid, you think like, oh yeah, the system works, and when you get sick, you get help right away. I saw somebody stroking out, and they was sitting in the fucking emergency room waiting like everybody else. It's like, what is going on here? What a gross, broken system. Anyway, I think this guy's okay now, but I mean, it's amazing he even survived this. Again, if it was an inch to the left, he would have bled out, but he got lucky. He just went through his skin, but what a nightmare story, and it highlights exactly what's wrong with this system.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all, it's happening. So Joe Rogan's friends have not only turned on Trump, they have turned on Trump in astonishing fashion. So as you all know, Andrew Schultz did his about-face after realizing he helped elect a fascist, terrorist, con man, warmonger, psychopath. You have Tim Dillon, who now spends a lot of time beating up on Trump, probably feels somewhat responsible because he gave J.D. Vance a hot stone massage. In Tim Dillon's defense, at least he wasn't like Andrew Schultz, who gave Trump directly himself a hot stone massage. He was slobbing on that knob, dog. He was glugging on that shit. But Tim Dillon did it with J.D. Vance. Anyway, the entire Rogan sphere sort of, hopped on the bandwagon of the Trump vibes at the time. But man, did those vibes crash against the rocks real quick when Trump started governing like a serial killer. Well, a lot of them have woken up and they go after him quite a bit now, or at least they're trying to maintain relevance and maintain an audience, and so they kind of knew they had to turn on him to one extent or another. But this is interesting because this is like the broiest of the bros, right? Like the hardcore Rogan sphere type characters here. So we have Sean Strickland, the UFC fighter, and then we also have Sean Ryan, who hosts a podcast. Now, to be fair to Sean Ryan, he's been very aggressively against Trump for quite a while now. He may have even beaten Schultz and Tim Dillon to the punch. But listen to what... Now, again, if somebody said this shit in 2018, these people would have been mocking them, laughing at them, acting like they're the problem with the country. But now listen to the shit that they're saying that in the past they would have mocked. Here we go.
And like when if you've been to a Trump rally?
No.
Oh, dude, it's fucking nuts.
No.
So like when you're at a Trump rally, you're like, oh, I could definitely see how Hitler happened. Like I'm not fucking joking to you, dude. When you go to a Trump rally, it makes you question the sanity of everybody. Like Trump's up there talking about like, we're going to throw people in jail for burning the flag. And I'm like, dude, I don't like, I mean, again, you shouldn't do it, but it's like, you know, there is a fucking constitution. I'm looking at Vivek, and Vivek is just like fucking like rubbing his head, and he gets out and leaves the Trump rally. And I'm like, fuck. And everybody else is just fucking full send. Yeah, fuck him, throw him in jail. Like, Like if Trump said go grab a gun and go do anything, they would fucking do it. They would fucking do it.
I know it's a cult. It's and that's another good. That's one of the things about Christianity. You're not supposed to put. You don't put your faith in man. They will.
That's also what I. That's
every
also
fucking time.
It's a cult. He's like Hitler. It's like a hate rally. When liberals and leftists were saying this shit in 2018, we were all called crazy. Right? Like we were, Trump derangement syndrome, you're out of your mind, you're overreaching, it's not as bad as you say, you're actually making people like Trump more because you're too harsh against him. Now here, Joe Rogan's friends in the year of our Lord 2020 say, oh yeah, when I was at that Trump rally, it made me realize, I saw how Hitler happened. For sure, all these people are brainwashed, these people are in a cult, no matter what Trump said, they would do it. Makes you question the sanity of all humanity. I was looking around like, what the fuck is going on here? This is crazy. This is wacky. This is wild. By the way, who's the one lagging the most behind in these conversations? Joe Rogan himself, the man himself. And it is not a coincidence that he texts directly with J.D. Vance. He texts directly with Donald Trump. He's talked about talking to Donald Trump on the phone, having somewhat regular phone calls with the President of the United States of America. He, every month has on a new Epstein-class disgusting billionaire? Whether it be Peter Thiel or Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk 87 times or Mark Andreessen or any of the other fucking scumbags he has on. He's part of that club. So the guy who theoretically on paper was more progressive and to the left of all of his buddies. On paper, you go back to Trump's first term, on paper, Joe Rogan is to the left of Tim Dillon, he's to the left of Andrew Schultz, he's to the left of Sean Ryan, he's to the left of Sean Strickland, he's to the left of all of these people. Somehow now, he's lost his way so thoroughly and so completely that all these people who are to his right have seen the truth and been more honest than he has been. He is completely and utterly blinded by his personal friendships with these people and probably the fact that he got $1 gazillion from his fucking Spotify deals and whatnot. He's now richer than God. He's got more money than he knows what to do with. And so he's hanging out with other people who got more money than they know what to do with. And so they're having secret conversations about building doomsday bunkers and enhancing your life using AI and downloading your consciousness and, biohacking and all this fucking bullshit. Completely and utterly disconnected from the lives of regular people. Doesn't know what it's like to struggle to pay a fucking bill. Doesn't know what it's like to go, oh shit, I can't afford steak because it's skyrocketed in price because of Trump's horrible policies. Doesn't know what it's like to go, oh shit, gas is over $4 a gallon. That sucks. I'm struggling here. And the guy who was both to the left of these other guys and conspiracy-minded, now all of a sudden he can't see any conspiracies. All of a sudden the conspiracy... Here you have a guy who's mentioned in the Epstein files 1 million fucking times. 1 million times. Somehow Rogan has not put two and two together that Trump is in the Epstein files, and he's probably a co-conspirator with Jeffrey Epstein. Hasn't put that together. Hasn't mentioned the name Katie Johnson on his podcast, the 13-year-old who accused Trump of raping her. Hasn't mentioned that 2011 email that Epstein sent that's in the Epstein files where he said Trump is at his house with one of the victims and he's been there for hours, meaning there's pictures and video of Trump with underage girls. Hasn't mentioned any of that. For a guy who was all about the Epstein files and all about conspiracies, all of a sudden, not too interested in these conspiracies. Not too interested. A guy who's, I'm anti-war and no new wars is the reason I supported Trump. Suddenly, not too interested in going through the details of this illegal war of aggression against Iran, which he could do, but he's not doing. He still talked to him on the phone. He's still texting him. He's still showing up to the White House for fucking ceremonies where they sign bullshit executive orders that are just symbolic by nature. Rogan had somebody on the show, Cameron Haynes, who told Rogan to his face, bro, Trump used me. He used me knowing I'm a national parks guy. He used me to make it look like he's protecting the national parks when he just opened them shits up to logging and mining and all sorts of pollution and destruction. He didn't care about that issue at all. He just used me for popularity. He had Cameron Haynes say that to him, and Rogan was sitting there fucking stone-faced, not realizing, bro, he's calling you out directly. Because Trump signed a fucking executive order that was like, oh, we're going to maybe deregulate Ibogaine or some other psychedelic substances. We're going to look into like rolling that back. And Rogan's standing there, slobbing on his knob, sucking him silly. I texted him and said, look at this article that says Ibogaine's good and it helps addicts, break the streak of it. And he was like, do you want FDA approval? And here we are. And all this is going at the same time Trump is committing war crime after war crime. At the same time, Trump's insider trading and his corruption and his bribery is fucking record-breaking and off the charts. At the same time, he's robbing Venezuela to the tune of $13 billion and putting that money in his own fucking bank account. Robbing the sovereign wealth of a country after kidnapping their president. Rogan's got nothing to say about any of it because he's in the club. He's with Elon Musk. He's with Donald Trump. He's with JD Vance. He's doing PR management. That's what he's doing for them. Lost all credibility. And here's his right-wing friends, his friends who we'd all call Neanderthals, and they're going, oh yeah, bro, I was at a Trump rally. That shit was like Hitler. That shit is a motherfucking cult. These people are crazy. They've all lapped him. They've all fucking lapped. How embarrassing is that? How embarrassing is that? Mr. Oh, I'm politically homeless. I actually lean left. Who, me, bro? I see problems in both parties. I've always been politically homeless. I see the problem everywhere. That guy, Mr. Holier Than Thou, fucking I see the truth. I'm Mr. Enlightenment over here. That guy is still riding hard for the pedophile, terrorist, rapist, war criminal con man known as Donald Trump. Whereas these guys, who should be further right, are going, oh yeah, he's like Hitler, bro. This shit is crazy. Oh, it's totally a cult. Anybody who's still with him is out of their fucking mind. That's wild. That's wild. He should be embarrassed. He should be ashamed of himself. So now you have all of Joe Rogan's friends have seemingly abandoned Donald Trump, except maybe Tony Hinchcliffe. But Tony Hinchcliffe is desperate to take Trump to Slurp City like Joe Rogan does. That's what he wants to do.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all. So Neil deGrasse Tyson has a dire warning for us here about the destruction of science in this country that is kind of amazing, and you have to see to believe. So let's listen and we'll break it down. Here we go.
Intellectual vacuum, scientific vacuum that is descending upon the United States. And that has consequences. I'm not here to tell people who to vote for or what to vote for or who your candidate is. It has nothing to do with this. It has to do with an if-then statement. If you're okay with the United States losing its scientific leadership, especially in the physical sciences, if you're okay with that, you will get the country you voted for. And that country is one where we will no longer innovate because our greatest innovations are based on the frontier science that's way beneath them, hidden from the daily news reports, hidden from what you see and hear about as you surf the internet. That goes away. We lose the foundation of our innovations, and the United States fades on the world stage. And they will do things that will impress us, just as we did things my entire life growing up that impressed the world. We went to the moon. Nobody else was close to going to the moon. As a scientist, it kind of doesn't matter who's making the advances because the fields of science move forward. But as an American, I like baseball, I eat hot dogs, and I eat apple pie. Yeah, I'm American. It kind of hurts to watch this hard-earned leadership evaporate. We will be less secure, less healthy, and less wealthy because some community of people who influence what this country is do not see the value of science deep below all of that.
So understand what he's saying here. What he's saying is we are on the verge of like basically destroying what made this country good. But I'll actually go a step further. It's already done, Neil. Like, I know he's issuing this as a warning, like, hey, this could happen. No, it's already happened, bro. It's already happened. One of the most underreported things under Trump's reign is this thing called brain drain. So because of Trump's insane crackdown on immigrants across this country, because of sending people to CKED to get tortured and raped, because of the creation of concentration camps and breaking up innocent families and sending people there and raiding Home Depots and Lowe's parking lots and things of that nature. What happened is you have terrified immigrants in this country massively. And it sent a message to the rest of the world. Hey, if you're not supposed to be here, or even if you are supposed to be here, but we don't like the color of your skin, right? Or we don't like your green card status or your visa status, even if you're here legally, we're going to make your life a living hell. That sends out the message. Don't even bother. We don't want you here. Get the fuck out of here. Well, guess what? The educational system in the U.S., it really did welcome and invited in the best and the brightest to do scientific research and medical research and do all the breakthroughs for tomorrow. So we'd create all the technologies that get the patents for use for tomorrow. Okay, it was great for the economy. It's great for science. It's great for education. It's great for the future. It's great for intellectual advancement. Well, now all those people are looking around going, why the fuck would I go to the U.S.? Do I want to end up in fucking CKED? Is that where I want to end up? Do I want to end up in Gitmo? Do I want to end up in, one of these 20-something concentration camps they're building where they're rounding up 2,000 innocent immigrants a day? I don't want to do that. I'm not going to go. And so now our education system takes a massive hit. Now our grant system takes a massive hit. Now our medical research, our scientific research takes a massive hit. Now those people are going to go to Europe. Those people are going to go to other countries where they feel physically more safe than they feel here. And this is what's happened. Between the crackdown on immigrants and between the Doge cuts, what was the message of the Doge cuts? The message of the Doge cuts was, we don't have a functioning government anymore. We don't have a functioning system anymore. People used to decide, I'll go into a government field because of stability and security. That's why people choose that. Well, now the pay is lower when it comes to government jobs, and there's no stability and security. Okay? So, like we've gone through, look at the shit that Doge delivered us. U.S. aid cuts. Millions of people are going to die as a result of that. Millions of people are going to die as a result of that. Okay? Foreign students no longer want to come here. The best and the brightest no longer want to come here. Medical research, we slash that to the bone. Scientific research, slash that to the bone. Okay? Even stuff that you wouldn't even consider cutting, like nuclear safety officials, the Department of Education, and, food safety inspectors, all of them are cut. So it's an all-out assault on the regulatory state, on the administrative state, on science, on technology, and we are going to feel the results of this for generations. It took a long time for the U.S. to be the place to go for intellectual pursuits, for educational pursuits, for research. Now, we're none of those things anymore. In one fell swoop, Trump destroyed that, destroyed our standing on the global stage, destroyed the perception of the U.S. as the place to go for college, for higher education, for research, for science, for innovation. And now here we are. We're dealing with the fallout of that shit. And that's to say nothing of the 117 environmental laws they rolled back and the destruction of the Clean Water Act and the Clean Air Act and, the allowing coal ash in our fresh water and the use of glyphosate, which is going to give a lot of us cancer at a much younger age, and the rolling back of the regulations for nuclear places, and so now there's going to be an increased radiation exposure. It's to say nothing of any of that, but the bottom line is, now we don't have guaranteed grants, we don't have the science, we don't have the technology, we don't have the medical research, we don't have any of it. And it's not something that's going to maybe happen in the future. It already happened. It's done. It's over. It already happened. And even, I've said this before, but you get a Democratic president back in there, even a Democratic president who means well, I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to take more than 8 years to even get us back to standard operating procedure line. That's how bad this has been. That's how disastrous this has been. That even with a Democratic president who cares deeply, it's still going to be a very, very difficult thing. A very difficult thing to even get us back to baseline. So there you go. There you have it. Neil deGrasse Tyson sending out a dire warning here about the state of American science and global science as a result of that. But let's keep it real. We were already lagging behind in many respects. Now we're going to get lapped. I mean, just look at green and renewable technology. China is lapping us. I mean, it's embarrassing. When the Strait of Hormuz was shut, China reacted like that to reduce their use of fossil fuels, and they were able to do it. They're like, yeah, we got solar, we got wind, we got all these different kinds of green technology. Yeah, we'll just switch to that, right? So they're way ahead of us on that front. They're way ahead of us on, they're equal to us with AI, which is supposed to be like our big thing where we're ahead, right? They're not. They're equal to us. And, go look at the BYD cars and compare them to a Tesla. That says it all. The BYD cars are blowing us out of the water. Not even close. And it's going to be like this on every single front. Medical research, scientific research, innovation, technology. And it's a shame. We ruined it. Whatever positive stuff we had here is completely and utterly ruined. And I think deep down he knows that, which is why he's releasing this video. All right, y'all. That's the show, man. I love y'all very much. As always, you know the drill. Everybody do me a big favor. Subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon. You can also support the show on Patreon. That link is below. Thank you all for your support. Remember, there's real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser, never done an ad read, never will. You guys have made that possible by tipping on YouTube, by signing up on Patreon for $1 a month or $2 a month or $5 a month. Thank you all for your support. You can also sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack and go sub to Corin's World. I love y'all, and yet again, I will see you back here tomorrow. Peace out.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
Oh, you guys are going to love this one, man. You're going to love this. So, Oliver Larkin, who's running in Florida's 25th district, is up against Jared Moskowitz, who's a hardcore Zionist Democrat. He literally calls himself a Ron DeSantis Democrat, to show you how out of touch this guy is. He's also openly in favor of the illegal war against Iran. But anyway, I digress. Oliver Larkin is running against him in a primary, and he went on Fox News, and he gave us one of the single most glorious moments we've ever seen in Fox News history when he called out the tired anti-immigrant talking points that they're spewing in the best way possible. Watch this.
The number that is fine with you? Is there a benchmark? Is it fine? How many children can be raped and it's fine if you're in relation to the immigration community?
If we're going to talk about children being raped, then we need to hold this pedophile president, Donald Trump, accountable, and all those that have been implicated by the Epstein files that the Department of Justice is still not leaking. They've sent AIPAC after Thomas Massey for having the temerity to hold accountable the pedophiles that are in control of our government.
Thank you. We appreciate your time very much.
Do you have any idea how long I've been waiting for somebody to go on Fox News and just say it to them plain? Like, hey, the president that you worship is a pedophile. That's right. Donald J. Trump is a pedophile. The president you worship is a pedophile. I don't want to hear about your disgusting, lowbrow fear-mongering against immigrants because you found one immigrant crime done somewhere and you try to use that to smear all immigrants. Well, I'm not going to generalize and try to smear any group of people. What I am going to say here is Donald J. Trump is a pedophile. Remember when he went on Howard Stern and bragged about when he owned Miss Teen USA sneaking into the dressing room as they were changing? And he said, like, you get to see them naked and I get away with it because I own the thing. Remember that? Remember the million times he's in the Epstein files? Remember the Katie Johnson allegations? I mean, who are we kidding here? So finally, bro, he is piercing the bubble in the most glorious way possible. That's what this is. This is like all of the boomers who are fed slop 24/7 and getting their brain rotted with Hannity talking point garbage. They just had a reality check. They just got a cold glass of water dumped on their head. They just got smacked across the face and got hit with a massive truth nuke. That's what that is. So shout out to Oliver Larkin. Everybody go support his campaign, bro. Go support his campaign. If you're in Florida's 25th district, go vote for him in this primary. That is honestly one of the single most glorious moments I've ever seen in Fox News history. And we need more of this. They keep inviting, like, you know, Democratic Socialists on air now because the Democratic Socialists are on the rise. And they think they're going to, like, own them and destroy them and, like, expose them for being silly. But what we're finding out in real time is, no, the roles are being reversed. It's being flipped right back on these right-wing hacks. And what people are realizing is, hey, maybe the Democratic Socialists are actually right about, like, everything. And they have the balls to go into the lion's den and say, hey, the president you support is a pedophile. Let's talk about that.
What's up, y'all? Hope everybody out there is having an awesome Friday. I have some breaking news for you. So, let's start with this. Apparently, Trump exploded and lost his temper during a security meeting, and he was shouting and cursing out of frustration over the fact that he kind of knows he lost the Iran war. Okay, so he was presented with military options moving forward, and he apparently was furious at the lack of progress toward making a deal. This is kind of an incredible story from NBC News, particularly because he seemingly is completely and utterly unaware of, like, what the Iranians are thinking, what they're feeling, how they've openly said repeatedly, not only do they not want to talk to the U.S. right now, but they never want to talk to the U.S. as long as Donald J. Trump is president, because they know that he lies about absolutely everything. He can't uphold a deal. Netanyahu lies about everything. Israel can't uphold a deal. So this is insane because Trump seemingly thought like, hey, it doesn't matter how many times I don't abide by an agreement, they're still going to come crawling back to me, and they're still going to, want to make some sort of a deal whenever I want to make a deal. But the fact of the matter now is we are running out of munitions, and the Strait of Hormuz is closed, Bab el-Mandeb is closed, we're blowing through the strategic reserve. So he's panicking, man. He is absolutely panicking. So a U.S. official added, quote, "After all this time, there is no unity inside the administration, which is facing a strategic defeat without clear policy guidance or a decision about where this is going." An ally close to Trump adds that the president is, quote, "exasperated, and there was not a real strategy for how long or what they should do." When I tell you this is a baboon regime, I say it because I mean it. This is as baboony as baboons get, okay? No plan whatsoever, throwing feces against the wall, desperate, no clue what to do moving forward, now screaming at his advisors and screaming at the military because he's caught, he's in a corner, he's trapped. And so this is a very terrifying place to be because I could absolutely see him crashing out and doing something devastating, whether that be, ordering an invasion of Karg Island or Keshem Island or a ground invasion or dropping a Moab or using a nuke. Remember, there was talk about a week or two ago that the Israelis were pushing for and Trump was leaning in favor of using strategic nuclear weapons, bunker-busting nuclear weapons at this place called Pickaxe Mountain, where they say the nuclear material is being hidden. So this is where we're at right now. We're at this crossroads where either Trump just accepts the big, fat, juicy L, or he does something incredibly idiotic that will go down in history as absolutely catastrophic. And as I keep telling you guys, I fear that the latter is what's going to happen, right? I would rather him accept the big, fat, juicy L, but I feel like that's kind of unlikely given his mental makeup, given his character. He can't even acknowledge when he loses a golf event, or an election for that matter. So the idea that he's going to acknowledge that he lost this war is honestly laughable. And I mean, shit, I feel like we've all gotten used to the chaos, but it's about to smack us over the head very aggressively and remind us that there are consequences. So it seems like he had almost an enlightenment moment where he went, what the fuck? What am I supposed to do now? I have no idea what to do now. Because Iran is not just, they thought like, the more we bomb them, the more we commit war crimes against them, the more that Iran will somehow like bend the knee and say, sir, yes, sir, whatever you want, sir. But in reality, the opposite happened. The more we committed war crimes against them, the more they were like, hey, fuck these people. We don't have to make a deal with them. We can keep the Strait of Hormuz shut. Now they shut Bab el-Mandeb, the Houthis did. And so, okay, incoming recession or depression, incoming $6 a gallon gas, $7 a gallon gas, as soon as they run out of all their tricks that they're using to cover up the crisis. So prepare yourself, man, because shit is about to get absolutely wild. And by the way, they're still now on a daily basis. I just saw there was like a number of ships that Iran seized and or attacked. That, again, it was the U.S. trying to use an alternate route through the Strait of Hormuz. Iran warned the ships and then went ahead and attacked some and seized others. Like, it's happening, bro. It's all happening. It is not fucking pretty right now. So we're still getting shooting back and forth. We're still getting ships being seized and things of that nature. So yikes is all I have to say about that. And Lord only knows where this goes from here. All right, listen to this, too. This is crazy. So Navigator, which is this polling company, they released this thing called a word cloud, which shows like when you ask Trump voters who regretted voting for Trump, when you ask them, hey, what makes you say that? What issue makes you say that? Ready for this? The number one issue that Trump voters who were feeling regret cited was the war. Now, by the way, this flies in the face of conventional wisdom in Washington, D.C., that people don't care about foreign policy. Well, the fact of the matter is, perhaps that was true in the past at some point, but what people are realizing now is foreign policy is linked directly to domestic economic policy. Because, like, Trump literally says, like, we're not going to do daycare, we're not going to fund Medicare and Medicaid, because we can't, because we're at war. I don't care about your financial situation at all, he says. I just care about stopping Iran from getting a nuke. So people are realizing, oh my God, these issues are one and the same, right? And so the number one issue regretful Trump supporters cite is the war. Right behind that, in a close second, is the economy. Another thing that they say is like promises not kept, They bring up promises not kept. You also have, smaller here, but they say things like, he doesn't care. Like he just simply doesn't care. Prices is another one that comes up quite a bit. Crime is cited here, and I think that the crime, honestly, when people say that, what they mean is corruption. What they mean is Trump's crime, like the crime spree that his crime family is on. But a lot of stuff here, man. War is the biggest regret. They hate that he started the Iran war. Breaking his promises, the economy, prices. So a lot of stuff there and a lot of regretful Trump supporters. Now, on that point, new Quinnipiac poll just came out. Generic ballot polling trend among independent voters. So all the way back in 2018, when the Democrats had a big wave, Democrats were plus 11 with independents going into the midterms, okay? October of 2022, right before that midterm election, where the Democrats actually overperformed. Everybody was saying red wave, red wave, red wave. I wasn't. I thought like, I don't know if there's going to be a red wave. I feel like it might be a relatively equal election. I think the Democrats are going to do better than people think they're going to do, okay? The polling leading up to that race had Republicans plus 9 with independents. And again, Democrats sort of overperformed and kept it relatively even Stevens. Well, now, July of 2026, what's the independent polling number? It is plus 22 Democrat. Plus 22. So that might even be an underrepresentation. Because again, it was plus 11 in 2018, Democratic wave. It is double that now in 2026. So, bro, these people are struggling to say the least. New Trump approval polls just this week in high quality polls. So CNN has him at 34%. The AP has him at 33%. And Quinnipiac has him at 32%, skis, y'all. 32, 34, 33, 32. That is catastrophic. That might be the single worst stretch of polling in modern American history. I know it sounds crazy to say those words, but it's true. We also have, when you look at an average of all of the polls right now for Trump, ready for this? He's at 60.5% disapproval and only 36.4% approval. His average is a 36% approval rating, y'all. His average is a 36% approval rating. Astonishing stuff. I mean, that is just, that is like, there's no hope for you at that point. Like, you almost should resign out of embarrassment at that point, right? Like, everybody fucking hates you. All you have left is the cult. And yes, the cult continues to cult, but everybody outside of that fucking despises you. And on that note, we had Elon Musk decide, well, now I'm going to jump into the midterms because apparently these Republicans need help. And he's promising a huge investment to boost Republican voter turnout. So he's resuscitating his dormant super PAC, America PAC, which, by the way, didn't he commit like federal crimes with this PAC? I think he was committing multiple federal crimes by promising people money to vote. Pretty sure that's wildly illegal. And that's one of like 28 things he's done where he should be in prison. But he's resuscitating America PAC, which spent more than $260 million to help get Trump elected in 2024. And they say America PAC is going to focus on door knocking, digital advertising, and direct mail aimed at turning out the conservative base, including voters who typically are less inclined to cast ballots in a non-presidential election. Okay? Now, here's the thing. It's insane that any billionaire is allowed to do this at all. This should be completely and utterly illegal. It is wildly corrupt. Having said that, I support it because he's just about to waste $260 million. Like, this is literally just like, let me piss away a preposterous amount of money. Because there's no way this is going to have any impact whatsoever. I'm sorry. The vibes are too strong. People's political opinions are too locked in. So effectively, this guy is just going to waste more of his money. But this goes to show you, literally nobody, forget just being a trillionaire. Nobody should be a trillionaire, which he was for a short amount of time. But nobody should even be a billionaire. Can we be serious here? I've always said you should max out at $999 million. Every fucking dollar above $999,999,999 should be taxed at 100%. And even there, I feel like perhaps I'm being too lax, right? Like, I feel like maybe the better thing to do is almost lower that to, like, you shouldn't have more than $100 million. Because when you think about $100 million is more than anybody can spend in a single lifetime, assuming they're reasonable people and they don't have a fucking mental disorder. Being a billionaire is a mental disorder at this point, right? So, like, if you have more than $100 million and I don't have enough, seriously, go fucking seek help, okay? But This is what we get when we have a trillionaire, a multi-hundred billionaire. Like, this is what they do. They'll buy like private islands that are basically countries and buy entire governments to rig the rules in their favor. And then we look around and go, why is democracy waning? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because it's under assault by trillionaire and billionaire assholes who are the worst people in the world, who all have a mental disorder and who are all sociopathic to their core. Maybe that. All right, let me also give you this. So the Trump administration has announced that diamonds will be exempt from tariffs. And this is just a few weeks prior, to this, to Trump saying that diamonds are going to be exempt from tariffs. One of the world's largest foreign diamond exporters presented Trump with a diamond-studded ring. So, yet again, you literally can't make this stuff up. The corruption is so direct and so brazen and so over the top. There's apparently a big Wall Street Journal report that just came out. I didn't get a chance to read it yet. But it basically describes how Trump is running an extortion ring. And I believe the quote in the title is something like, "The boss wants his money." So now people are opening up to the reality that, as I've said on this show before, this is no longer a democracy. It's no longer a constitutional republic. We're a mobocracy. He's running it like a mob, right? And we could use oligarchy. We could use the word kakistocracy. We absolutely can use the word fascism and imperialism. But mobocracy, I feel like, is a very accurate way of describing what's going on here. In fact, Trump made over $2.4 billion last year, according to a new report, which is more money than he made any other year in his life. Think about that. Sitting president making more money than he made any other year in his life. That alone on its face should immediately lead to impeachment. That alone on its face should immediately trigger the 25th Amendment. Because there's no way you can do that without being a wildly corrupt. There's no way you can do that without fucking running crypto scams, without doing a pay-for-pardon scheme. All these things wildly illegal. Taking a tremendous amount of money from foreign governments. It's a joke. It's a sick fucking joke is what it is. Apparently, we also have this. An Indiana data center project cut power for tornado warning sirens ahead of a severe local storm. Which yet again shows that these data centers are taking priority over regular people. And there's this brewing colossal backlash against data centers because people are sick of this shit. They're sick of this shit. People do not want all these data centers sucking up all of the fresh water, sucking up all the energy, leading to blackouts and brownouts, creating AI that kills our jobs. I mean, this is just, everybody hates this shit. Nobody wants this shit. It's only the billionaires and the trillionaires who are going to get phenomenally wealthy off this that want it, even though it's like civilization-killing technology. It's astonishing. All right, on data centers, so the Trump administration has now announced plans to build AI data centers on federal land in all of the following states. Ready? Kentucky, Ohio, South Carolina, Nevada, Idaho, Illinois, New York, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Oregon, Colorado, Tennessee, Washington, New Jersey, New Mexico, California, Texas, and Missouri. So when I tell you that this regime is sold out to every single big money interest in this country, I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I mean, I'm talking military-industrial complex. I'm talking Israel lobby. I'm talking Wall Street. I'm talking the tech AI demons. All of them completely own this regime, and they will make every decision that they make is to benefit them and not to benefit you. I mean, this is crazy. And this is now one of the biggest issues in various elections around the country. So, for example, we have Francesca Hung running for governor of Wisconsin. One of her big things, she's a Democratic socialist. One of her big things is she's against these data centers. She wants a moratorium on the data centers. And she's crushing all the competition, crushing them, not even close. And get this, we also have Francesca Hung is promising to fight Trump on Wisconsin's National Guard participation in illegal wars, saying we will not help you with any of your illegal wars. She's refusing state police cooperation with the feds on NSPM 7, which of course is where they try to criminalize dissent. She's refusing any state support for ICE, saying we're never going to work with ICE. And she wants to convert the local defense industry into peace production. Think about that. Incredible. She's such an amazing candidate. She's up massively. Can't wait for her to win with her upcoming primary. I think is it August 11th? Put in the comment section. But if you're in Wisconsin, vote for Francesca Hung. She's going to be a real one, man. I could already tell. I think she was on Breaking Points last week, and Crystal was very impressed with her. All right. So how about this? When we talk about the MAGA death cult, ready? There's a new political poll that came out. And they say here, share of Trump voters
who self-identify as MAGA and would vote for the Republican candidate through the following scandals if the midterms were tomorrow. Ready for this? 82% of Republican voters or self-described MAGA would vote for a Republican if they were using tax loopholes. 76% would vote for one if they were convicted of DUI. 75% would vote for a MAGA candidate even if they had accepted gifts from lobbyists and they were brazenly corrupt. 74% said, I would vote for the candidate if they were caught wearing blackface. 74% said, I would vote for them if they were accused of workplace bullying. 72% said, I would vote for them if they're accused of domestic violence. 69% said, I would vote for them if they concealed a terminal illness. 66% said, I would vote for them if they were selling misleading medical treatments. 66% said, I would support them if they were accused of sexual assault. By the way, that's a lie. It is not 66% of MAGA that would support a Republican who was accused of sexual assault. It is 100% of MAGA because they all definitionally support Trump. So 100% of MAGA is okay with people being accused of sexual assault, as long as they're a Republican. As long as they hate black and brown people and Muslims and every minority and trans people and every minority group in this country. Insanity. 65% said, I would support them if they exaggerated military service. 58% said, I would support them if they made anti-Semitic statements. 57% said I would support them if they shared classified information with a foreign government. You literally can't make this shit up. So when we say it's a motherfucking cult, that's what we mean. I mean, shit. Al Franken got kicked out as a senator when he took a picture pretending to grope a sleeping woman who was wearing a Kevlar vest. Didn't actually touch her, pretended to touch her. Boom, gone, son, gone. Democrats all were like, get the fuck out of the caucus, get the fuck out of the government. We're done with you. Graham Plattner got kicked to the motherfucking curb as soon as you had more serious allegations that came out against him, and not just allegations of him being a bad boyfriend, right? And now, look at these Republicans. We got Max Miller, who's assaulting his wife, who allegedly broke his daughter's collarbone, his, toddler-age daughter's collarbone. We got the other guy, Corey Mills, who's committed all kinds of corruption, all kinds of violent assault. We got Trump himself, who's in the motherfucking Epstein files and is accused of raping 13-year-olds and shit. Right? They don't care. They have no standards, none whatsoever. Literally zero. I refuse to live in this political world, ladies and gentlemen. Either we have standards for everybody or standards for nobody. Period. End of story. I'm not doing this anymore where we destroy our own side and they have no standards for their own side and get away with anything and fucking everything. And by the way, they ended up winning the presidency, the House, the Senate, and they hold the judiciary. Right? We can't have a world where they have no standards, but they also win everything. And we need to have the strictest standards and lose every fucking 7 seconds. Fuck that. Fuck that. Not interested in that. Jesus Christ. Oh, my days. Okay. So you ready for this? Here's a fun fact, and shout out to the main Twitter account for this. Mitch McConnell has taken more medical leave in 2026 than most mothers in America get for maternity leave. Do you believe that? And as the Fuck You, I Quit Twitter account says, fun fact, Mitch McConnell has voted against practically every federal paid leave bill in existence. So he gets to take off however much time he wants, but you need to get the fuck back to work or get fired instantly. Okay? Now, by the way, this might all come to naught because he might just be dead this entire time. Right? It's possible he's just dead. He's just been dead all along. Right? So in that case, it's a little different. But they're literally doing a weekend at Bernie's type shit, except it's literally weekend at Mitchie's. And it is disturbing. All right, now let's talk about this as well. So you have, this is a Reuters headline. Ready for this? The U.S. government map of Africa mislabels every country at global conference. So what happened here was they decided to use AI and nobody decided to follow up with a motherfucking fact check. Every single country in Africa was mislabeled and they're at a fucking global conference. Oh my days. Oh no. I'm sorry. We are so washed. This country is so washed. This country is beyond Celtic Shack at this point. Celtic Shack looks like Prime Shack from where we're sitting in this country. Oh my days. What are we doing? I mean, it's every day. It's another fucking global embarrassment, one after the other after the other. And then we're surprised when you poll people and basically everybody's like, oh yeah, I hate the Americans. Like, well, what do you expect? We bomb people for no fucking reason. We lie to them and violate our trade agreements and all sorts of deals with them. Trump threatens to tariff people every 14 seconds. And then you get stuff like this where, like, we're just the most incompetent motherfuckers on planet Earth. Speaking of incompetent, Vivek Ramaswamy, who is, of course, running for Ohio governor, probably going to get his cheeks clapped in this blue wave year, okay? He was at some event, and he was booed off stage after telling an Ohio crowd, quote, "The truth of the matter is, people in my generation have already made it. We're going to be fine." I don't know why he's saying that. Bro's like a Gen Xer, right? If you look at the statistics, the numbers, yeah, the boomers relative to other generations are doing much better financially, but Gen X is not doing all that great, right? Like, people are struggling in that generation. So what the fuck is this? How are you going to run for governor and be like, all right, y'all, everything's pretty good, right? Like, y'all are good if you're about my age. I don't even need to really do shit for you because everything's okay. Everything's hunky-dory. No, you idiot. That's not true. Imagine saying this at a time when, like, basically 85 to 90% of the country already feels like they're in a recession or a depression. Imagine that. And that's what he's doing. Because the Republican mindset literally has nothing to do with helping you. Like, that's not, they don't get into government to help you. They get into government to prove that government can't fix shit. And then they do that by dismantling everything that works about our government. And so Vivek just absolutely humiliating himself yet again. Imagine getting booed off stage while you're running for governor. That's like a nightmare scenario. Speaking of a nightmare scenario, so it wasn't that long ago, it was about a decade ago, that the standard line among right-wingers was that, no, Hitler wasn't far right. Hitler was actually on the left. That's what you stupid liberals and leftists need to acknowledge, is that you own Hitler. It was called National Socialism. Socialism is a left-wing idea. This was the standard line. So, for example, we have Steven Crowder, the man who is very likely deep in the closet and just desperately wants to come out as trans, because every opportunity or non-opportunity that he gets, he decides to throw on some fake-ass titties and some long-ass hair and do some sketch comedy where he's a woman. And, you know, he only does it for the lulz. I only dress up like a woman every other week for the lulz, bro. And then he got all the horrible stories about how he puts his ball sack on his fucking employees and shit. And the employees are like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, bro, I'm just joshing, bro. I'm just joshing. What, you don't like to have fun, bro? I'm just joshing over here, bro. This guy's got problems on top of problems within problems. By the way, look at, he's one of those guys that has, like, everybody who ever worked under him only says horrible things about him now that they're out of under his control, right? So and there's that video of him abusing his wife. Remember that? Anyway, I digress. He's a horrible person. But a decade ago, he posted, yes, Hitler was a liberal socialist. That was a video that he posted. And it almost got 800,000 views, really huge numbers on that. Well, now they decided to stop playing this stupid game where they lie about absolutely everything, and they're a little high on their own supply right now. So sometimes they accidentally tell the truth. They say the quiet part out loud. And just the other day, he posted a video, I'm not kidding. The title is, "The Case for Fascism." And in the thumbnail, you have a picture of Trump and historic fascists, not Mussolini, not Hitler, but other historic fascists, right? And it says, "We need fascism." The case for fascism and we need fascism. What happened? I thought fascism was a left-wing idea, and that's why it's so bad, because it's a left-wing idea, bro. Now, sorry. Are we in 2026 and we have fascists in power and they're doing fascist shit and now we're coming out of the closet? Okay, I guess I'll stop playing cutesy with it and I'll tell you the truth, that Steven Crowder thinks we need fascism. So just understand this. They lie about fucking everything. And this is the way it works. If they say they're in favor of bad things, they're telling the truth. They're in favor of bad things. Whenever they lie and pretend like they're in favor of good things, that's the lie. They don't mean that. It's a law of nature. If a Republican says they're going to do something good, they're lying. They're not going to do it. If they say they're going to do something bad, that's when they're telling the truth. They're going to do that, right? And here we go. Here's the fucking, the fascists are all left-wing, bro. That's why fascism is bad. It's so left-wing, bro. And then now it's, no, fascism is right-wing, and we need fascism. I love fascism. So at least they're being honest. At least they're being honest now. Thank you for the honesty on this front. Okay. And then I'll give you this as well. So the Democrats Deliver account on Twitter pointed out, Minnesota Democrats passed a bill banning AI-generated porn, and Elon Musk's AI company is now suing to block the bill. You cannot make it up. You cannot make it up. By the way, we talked to Ashley St. Clair, as you all know, on Crystal Kyle and Friends. And Ashley St. Clair was like, people were making atrocious child porn pictures of me when she was feuding with Elon. And I think there's lawsuits over it and shit. So this is a serious fucking thing here, man. Like,
that people make all sorts of disgusting images with Grok, and I think they may have changed that because of the lawsuits, but Elon Musk company is suing to block the bill, saying, no, I want to be able to make AI-generated child porn. I mean, what do you even say about that? What the fuck do you even say about that? By the way, everybody check out Crystal Kyle and Friends dropping later today. We have Rania Khalek from Breakthrough News coming on. For those of you who don't know, Breakthrough News is right now being politically persecuted by the Trump regime. They got subpoenaed, all because they're an anti-imperialist news outlet. And this is all under NSPM 7. This is all under the attempt to criminalize dissent. And so they're going after them because they cover Cuba. They cover Venezuela. They're like, you know, on the ground doing important work in these different places and bringing a crucial perspective. And because they're anti-fascist, the Trump regime is coming after them aggressively under NSPM 7. We had Stephen Miller give that fascist speech the other day. They're basically saying, like, yeah, a new Red Scare is here. New McCarthyism is here. So they are being politically persecuted and subpoenaed by the Trump regime, basically trying to, like, bankrupt them and drag their name through the mud and put them through fucking hell, knowing they probably can't win any case against them, but just trying to make their life a living hell. So tune in to Crystal Kyle and Friends later. Rania Khalek is going to break it all down for you. Also, I'm going to highly recommend help them out with their legal defense fund, and you can see later, you know, she'll tell you where to go in order to help them out with that. But it's very important, Crystal Kyle and Friends episode tonight. Of course, you can sign up below on Substack to see the full thing as soon as it drops, video style, or you can wait until tomorrow to get the full thing audio podcast style, which that's for free for everybody. But either way, super important episode, and you guys got to listen to it. And then finally, I'm going to end with this. Dan Goldman, okay, who is a Democrat who helped lead the Trump impeachment, but his fatal downfall was that he's also a rabid Zionist who is so deranged that he was spreading the Pallywood conspiracy theory, which is the idea that the Palestinians are basically faking their annihilation, and it's all fake, and it's all like Hollywood, and they're like lying about the mass death and all that stuff. I mean, just truly deranged. Well, anyway, this guy posted, quote, if you were a supporter of the uncommitted movement, which of course was people saying, look, we're not committed to the Democrats unless and until they stop arming and funding a genocide, okay? Goldman says, which was significantly responsible for Trump 2.0, then you are in no position to demand anything from the Democrats. So think about what he's saying. If you have a conscience, and if you have a sense of morality, and you tell Democrats, hey, you need to be anti-genocide to earn everybody's votes. He's saying, no, fuck you. The Democrats don't have to do that. You can't demand anything. So Goldman is begging here for a Democratic Party to be allowed to be in favor of genocide. That's what he's saying here quite explicitly, quite directly. Can you imagine? Like, the idea, these people always used to say, oh, we got to grow the tent. It's a big tent party, big tent party, big tent party. Apparently, that big tent doesn't include people who are anti-genocide, doesn't include people who are DSA aligned, who are left-leaning, who actually are principled in their anti-war stance. Apparently, he's like, no, our big tent only includes people who are pro-war and who are pro-genocide. That is such a fucking insane thing to say. And by the way, it's also slandering the uncommitted movement, because I remember very well the uncommitted movement took a lot of shit from some people because they came out and said, we're endorsing against Donald Trump. Do not allow Donald Trump to get back in there because we know he will be objectively worse than any Democrat, including Kamala Harris. Right? And then they also said, we're not endorsing a third party. So you do the math on that. If they're endorsing against Trump and they're saying, don't vote third party, I wonder who they were fucking endorsing. But since what? They didn't like break out their pom-poms and cheerlead for Kamala Harris. Therefore, like, they're your enemy. Like, Jesus Christ. It's like these people want to lose. Dan Goldman wants to lose. He would rather lose and have a genocidal Zionist Democratic Party than win with an anti-genocide Democratic Party. I mean, it's disgusting. Like, what? Have you learned nothing after all this time? It's fucking disgusting, bro. Like, what the fuck? By the way, Haley Stevens is also crashing out, now out there openly accusing Abdul El-Sayed of being anti-Semitic, saying that he blames all his problems on Jews. Total fucking lie, total slander, total smear. And the reason she's crashing out is there was a poll that just came out, had her 15 points down, and another one had her 17 points down. So this is what happens when they panic. They're in the corner. They're like, oh shit, we're getting draxed. So now it's, you're not welcome in the Democratic Party if you believe in democratic policies. And now it's, you must be anti-Semitic if you correctly criticize Israel and are anti-genocide. It's fucking gross. Now, here's the reality. Here's the sad thing. And perhaps this isn't sad. Perhaps this is great. What I would submit to you guys is, perhaps there's no room for you in the Democratic Party if you're pro-genocide. Just a thought. That if you're pro-genocide, that definitionally is an anti-democratic policy idea. And it's immoral and it's unethical. But the fact of the matter is, when you look at the Democratic base, I mean, shit, it's 80, 90% of the Democratic base that's like in agreement with people like me on Israel and on the issue of genocide. And like, I don't know what to tell you. The people are with us. The only people who are still like desperately trying to keep the party pro-Israel and pro-genocide are people who are paid by the Israel lobby, people who are corrupted by the Israel lobby, and people who are just fanatical Zionists who basically have a mental disorder, right, and have been brainwashed forever. So I'm sorry, maybe you're the one that's not fitting in this big tent. Sorry to tell you, Dan Goldman. Jesus Christ. But anyway, there you have it, guys. There are your updates for today. Love y'all very much. Like I said, tune into Crystal Kyle and Friends later today. Super, super important episode. You'll get a teaser clip or two that drop on the channel, but definitely listen to the whole thing when it drops. All right, I love y'all, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.